Hello and welcome to Sebring, Florida, where for the last time in 2022, E4A will go racing for another 100 minutes. Tonight, I'm joined by Zach Purcell to watch Patrick Ripley, who's currently on pole, and the rest of the field do some racing. How you doing tonight, Zach?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm really excited. Obviously we have our class leaders locked up in championship contention. They've locked in first, but there's still a lot of positions to be battled for, a lot of positions to be gained from some good races today.
Yeah, there sure are. I mean, we could take a look at the standings in a little bit. There are, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 different instances of different positions tied on the exact point. So nothing is without risk tonight.
Yeah, just to hit on one that I've been really paying attention to coming into this race in the AM class. Currently 5th, 6th, 7th, we got Mark Dillon Jr., Keith Roycroft, and Jeff McDonald all tied at 317 equal. And furthermore, not only are they that, but Ark's worst drop week is 16. Jeff's worst drop week is 16. Keith Roycroft's is a 14. So these drivers all are right next to each other. They're all going to be right next to each other after drop weeks. And it's going to pretty much get settled out here on the track. But the extra detail to that is that they all have the capability of hopping Zach Nurnberger in 4th. But if they have a bad race, mathematically, they can finish as low as 13th. So they're all there next to each other fighting for positions. But you have all of these guys behind: Christopher Craig, Ryan Glover, Richard Curry, Dale Hingley, Michael Della Sala, guys who, if they have a good race, win or podium, they can hop all of those guys. So it's a wild set of scenarios with, so many races having been run so far for, it can still all flip on its head.
Yeah, we've had such a tight season here, and I think these classes, the GTD Pro, the GTD AM, are really, really helping with that, keeping people that fight with each other in the same pace range all in that same category. Now, we took a look here. We had those 3 people you mentioned: Mark Dillon Jr., Keith Roycroft, and Jeff McDonald tied for 5th, 6th, and 7th. And then directly behind them, Christopher Craig and Ryan Glover tied for 8th and 9th at 309. And then if we take a look at the pro points here, we've got 10 and 11th tied for 279 points. And not too many huge gaps between them. Marcus Osborne in 9th with 281 points, and Will Borland ahead of him with 287. So it really is anybody's race when it comes to that.
Yeah, we do have the podiums locked up. So for pro, Terry Cocker Jr., Tyler Langenberg, Nicholas Paletti, those are the 3. That's the order it's going to finish, regardless of whatever happens in this race. They've had great seasons. For AM, Christopher Newby locked up the championship 2 races ago. And then 2nd and 3rd is just being battled between John Kelly and Foreman. And John Kelly currently has 1 more point, but he has a 16-point advantage in the drop weeks. He has a really low drop week of a race that he missed. So he's got a really big advantage on Foreman coming into this, but Foreman still has the capability of finishing 2nd. But those will be the other 2 guys. Those will be the 2 guys on the podium for AM other than Christopher Newby.
Yeah, so that's something to watch for. And we also have our bracket that we've been following this season. And I believe that's Marcus Osborne and Terry Kelger Jr. Whoever finishes higher will take it. And the other one, Zach Nurnberger, and who was the other person?
Jeff McDonald.
Jeff McDonald. So whoever finishes higher out of those 2 will also be the GTD AM bracket champion. Now, right now, Jeff McDonald doing a great job out on pole. And again, Terry Kelger Jr. as well, who is no stranger to having a number 1 on his car.
Yeah, both of those combos there, those pairs of drivers, ones that we had last week in the bracket challenge as well, where they needed to win to force a winner-take-all final race.
And indeed they did. So it'll come down to tonight.
It's awesome to have it come down, to the final race. It gives Terry, another thing. Of course, he's already got the race locked up. He does unfortunately have the win every race counted possibility. That's out after his narrow loss in Watkins Glen, but he still has this this bracket to worry about, and he's obviously he's on pole right now, currently with 10 minutes to go, but anything can happen in Sebring.
Yes, it can. It's a very, very bumpy track, and a lot of people were talking about it in the Discord. Maybe the BMW, or I think even the Lambo was mentioned as one of the least bumpy cars, but as Paul Boyle likes to call it, Porsche for amateurs lives on strong tonight.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing any amount of suspension on the other cars can really make up that kind of off balance of power that we got currently. Although, as some may know, all that stuff is going to radically change in just a few days. The new build comes out. There's going to be all sorts of changes. I believe GT3 can change tires while fueling up, which will change tire strategy completely. And then all of the tire model and the balance of performance, that's all like getting completely gutted and like redone. So, enjoy the Porsche now. It may not be the one, just a week from now.
Yeah, I am so excited for that update. It's going to be like insanely fun. For lack of a better word, it's going to be quite a game changer.
Yeah, it's going to slow down those LMP2s a lot, which we're going to have in the league next season. But it's slowing those down partially to make room for the LMDH car that they're putting in. So that'll be a little bit more easy to control. It'll be a little bit less of a gap differential between the two classes. So it's good timing for that to come into play when we introduce the LMP2, to a full season.
Yeah, the LMDH will be awesome if we ever get that. LMP2 planning to make its return after its one race we had at the beginning of this year, and quickly got axed after that. But we've grown, and we're hoping to see some improvements with it, and we'll still have our GTD Pro, GTD AM as it stands, so look forward to that. That's not going away. Great system. And the LMP2s will just have to spruce it up a little bit.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely. I mean, we already have had some races where don't even get to take a breath with how much action is going on. I mean, I think of just some, Fuji was a great example earlier this season. Daytona had a lot. And the LMP2s is just, they're going to be making their way around traffic so much. We're just going to have even more. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, next season's a shorter season. I think only 9 races, but
yeah, trying to kind of match up with the official schedule so that we don't get blindsided by a week 13 balance of performance change like we're about to have.
Yep. But despite that, we've had some minor, very, very minor track changes, more wider ones to accommodate those LMP2 cars. And I think it's a great lineup. We've got Daytona, Hockenheim, the Indy Road Course, Monza, Glen with the Classic. I think that means no chicane, no bus stop. Then we've got Spa and Fuji, and then Le Mans with no chicanes, the historic layout, and then Road America. And one of those tracks is subject to change with the rumored Magny-Cours. I hope I said that right.
Yeah, Magny-Cours is definitely going to be replacing Indy Road Course based on that poll. The poll seemed to be pretty anti-Indy Road Course. Hurts my heart, but that's how it goes.
I know Stephen Thompson is also crying about that one, but
as a Hoosier, I want to see it there, but
personally, it's not.
I only have one vote.
Yeah, I didn't even vote because I want to. I'll watch a race anywhere, and I want it to be about the drivers. But personally, I'd prefer to watch Magny-Cours over the Indy RC.
Yeah, no, Magny-Cours is a wild track. I mean, it's going to have some difficult, the LMP2 especially. There's some fast parts of that. There's some really fast chicanes. Not a lot of forgiveness on the track, so it'll be a difficult one. It's a really long track too, so that kind of helps the multi-class nature as well.
It'll sure be interesting. Now, taking a look at the pit lane currently of Patrick Ripley, let's take a look at Terry Kegger Jr. Oh, he's going to pull off and head to the pit lane as well. All right, we're going to take a ride on board here. I think that's our next move. So, number 7 here in 7th place, Brad McCombs. He's not number 7, but he's in 7th place. He's gonna take us for a lap in this Audi here. Take us through it, Mr. Purcell.
Yeah, he's going to be coming down the straight. This first turn is super important, and we'll see a lot of mistakes here. It's very difficult. Right when the wall kind of juts in, that's when you start your turn in. Just trying to coast through the turn. You can't do too much gas with these cars or you'll lose it. Stay inside the dirt there. Brake after like the 3 cones, and you're gonna this part is really slow. You got to keep it inside these curbs. You don't want to touch too much of them because they're actually really tall and could really
Commentator's curse.
You have to be slow. Yeah, it is a commentator's curse. That's a tough part. It's not the only person we're going to see make a mistake there. We've already actually seen a couple while we've been talking.
So we'll pick it up with Paul Boyle here in the Audi.
Yes. Hopefully you don't curse him. But yes, really slow section here. Certainly it's not going to be much passing going on. But a lot of people going out wide there. As you can see some tire tracks in the dirt. Just going to continue. You know, this is a pretty easy flat section. You're going to brake after the 4. And you get this super slow turn, so try not to use too much gas, stay patient, and then hit the throttle as soon as you can coming out. Gets a little bit on the grass there. Again, it's going to be flat out through this section, just kind of weaves its way back and forth. And you're into this one, you'll be braking a little bit later than the previous one, but again, it's a really slow one, and you don't want to go too early because you have to head right before you go left. So another tight turn. Keeping it flat through here. This one you want to try to straighten the car up as fast as you can. It's pretty tough. You don't have a lot of time to get ready for it. Pretty fast. There's a lot of camber that can help you out. We may see drivers go wide and spin on that dirt though. Maybe a passing zone here into the kink if people are brave and they've taken the last turn well enough. Braking past the 3. This one again, don't hit that left curb too much, and then you're going to swing way left, way off the track for the racing line. And you have a huge curb here to use on the outside, but again, we'll see drivers go a little bit too wide and spin into the wall. And then we're coming up to Sunset, which is famous. It's difficult, it's dangerous, takes a lot of bravery, and you're just going to swing it through, hit the brakes in 2 different sections as you try to kind of double apex it. Keep it in that, you can see where the pavement's a little bit darker, a little bit more grip. And then you have to get on the gas as early as possible to make use of this long straight.
So not the best lap from Paul Boyle, only a 2:01 compared to his best lap of about a 1:59, or 1:58 even. But it was clean, so we got to give it to him for that.
Yeah, I have to wonder how the temperatures change. It is 104 on Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius on the track right now. I believe that it started cooler than that. So, but I mean, despite that, we've seen Terry actually have some competition for pole. Tyler Langenberg was up there for a little bit. Patrick Ripley, as you mentioned before, but despite potentially warming up conditions, he has established himself on pole again.
Yes, he has. Now that one corner, I guess we could call them the S's, which would be all the way down where our friend Ryan Tyler's headed towards now. Gave you a lot of anxiety during our Sebring race.
Yeah, there was a lot of anxiety to be had, for sure.
I just missed it, so we'll pick it up on Paul Boyle when he goes to it. It's very, very easy to clip the grass with your left tire there and lose the car. Something I got yelled at a good amount for during Sebring.
And confirm, yes.
And I
really like that utilizing your turn entry.
I never messed up there. I messed up in tower, but not there. For my own defense, but very tricky. We could see some mistakes there. Another tricky corner, as you mentioned, turn 1. Ryan Tyler's headed through it right now. Very close to the wall.
Turn 1 takes so much practice to figure out how to take that. It's just like it as well as Sunset. There's just so much, as you already mentioned before. It's such a crazy bumpy track. It's there's a reason that I think people have said it's a famous American track. People are like, why doesn't F1 race there? The F1 cars would be rattled to bits on this track. It's more street track than any street track they do.
Yes, it is. Now, I've taken turn one, I don't know, hundreds of times, thousands maybe, in the LMP2 car. But when it comes to GT3, I hopped in here for practice 2 nights ago, and I could not manage it. It is so very difficult, and I see that yellow legend thing has popped up on my overlay, which means we are in the presence of a legend, possibly? Nick Terrell is in the session.
There. Oh, he dropped due to upload packet loss.
Uh-oh. Well, we'll see if he makes it in. We haven't had a legend race with us in a while, so it'll be interesting to see. I just heard a few crunches from a car, but I'm not sure who that was in turn one.
So yeah, again we got Terry Calgary there on pole, not his first pole for sure, and Jeff McDonald there probably going to be finishing on pole for GTDM, and he has a number of poles to his record, but doesn't have that win. He's had a couple really close ones at Fuji, lost by literally just like 100th to Keith Roycroft, which we saw, and then at Watkins Glen was leading, and with just a few laps to go, made a small mistake that handed the win to Chris Newby. So I'm definitely rooting for Jeff McDonald to finally get that elusive win on the season. He's had so much pace in so many of these races. It would be a surprise for him to not have won one all season.
Yeah, I'll say it again, just another stat, even though I said it the past 3 races, actually. Christopher Newby, our champion, the only person to win from pole, and that only happened once this season at Bathurst.
For AM, yes.
For AM, yes.
Terry's done it a lot.
Yeah, Terry is no stranger to that. But let's take a look at our grid once it gives us the option to. All right, so we'll do that in a second. Instead, let's mentally prepare ourselves for some wonderful racing.
Yeah, just well, yeah, I was gonna say another thing to pay attention to while we're looking for these positions. That like battle for like the 5th, 6th, 7th spots for GTD Pro is all over the place. It could be any one of a number of drivers, anywhere between Paul Skip, Aaron Claybaugh, Ryan Tyler, Paul Boyle, Will Borland, Marcus Osborne, Brad McCombs, Andrew Neri, Patrick Ripley. All those guys are fighting in that 4th to 8th range, but can finish as low as like 15th. So a lot of people can't afford to have a bad race. A few guys can't even, like Zach Nuremberger, he's up there in 4th in GTDM. He could finish as low as 8th if he has a drop week, though. So he's gotta have a good one.
Yeah, he does. So here is our grid. Terry Calgary Jr. is on pole for GTDM. Nobody's surprised, but Patrick Ripley's back up there after a few-week break from the front row, so good on him. Tyler Langenberg follows Patrick, followed by Nick Paletti, Will Borland, Paul Skip, and then Jeff McDonald on pole for GTDM. Paul Boyle follows him, Brad McCombs, Keith Roycroft in second for GTDM, and then Adrian Garcia Vahil and Christopher Newby.
Following those guys, we have Daniel Real starting in 13th overall, Richard Curry, Antoine DeCash, John Kelly, Ryan Tyler, Christopher Craig, who I believe has a EOL for this race, Ryan Glover, Michael Della Sala, Tony Watson, Andrew Neri, Marcus Osborne, and Sasha Kempter.
All right, continuing, Aaron Claybaugh starts down in 25th. Mark Dillon Jr. follows him. Then David Levine, James Foreman, Zach Nurnberger, Steven Shepard, Donovan Johnston, Daniel Barnett, Atticus Middleton, and if he makes it in, Nick Terrell will make 34 cars tonight.
It's a great, sometimes people, never would be me, but sometimes people don't bother, sometimes show up to the last few races if they're out of championship contention or whatever. I think it says a lot that you have this many people still showing up for the finale, even guys that, aren't really fighting for a big position. I think, it means that people are having fun doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly enjoy it, and I hope everybody else does as well, even just watching. It's great.
Yeah, you definitely like watching it if you like Porsches, looking at that tower there.
Well, I did work in a Porsche shop, so I have no objections.
It is, it's definitely the season of the Porsche for this year. Of course, Terry Calgary Jr. has used the Porsche throughout the whole season, but he's definitely proven over these last, this last half of races that he was not winning it because he was in the Porsche. Him and the Porsche worked well together, but he certainly has been the top of the class for drivers this year. Some guys have put the fight to him. We've had some other guys win, had a lot of guys on the podium, but I mean, across the whole season, not much negative to be said about Terry Kiger Jr. It's just been a couple. He hasn't even really made any mistakes. He had a hurricane. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, it's been his season for sure. I mean, let's see this. We've got 12 different podium sitters over this season in GTD Pro, but Terry Kiger Jr. has 9 podiums, and we've only done 13 races, so 4 races he's not been on the podium, and of those 9 podiums, 7 of them were on the top step.
Certainly another very interesting stat to bring up with the pro field. As I mentioned before, Nicholas Paletti has locked in 3rd place for the championship. He only has two podiums. He's been so ridiculously consistent, has made every race, has finished every race, I don't think he's had a single bad race. And usually that kind of comes to your disadvantage late in the season when you start putting drop weeks, and now since you've had all good races, now you're like dropping good races. It doesn't matter. He's like constantly top 5. He's just not often been there in those top 3. It goes to show what that consistency and racking up a lot of safety points can do for your total.
Yeah, I mean, I'd compare him to George Russell, just Mr. Consistency. He never, well, I guess he did win this season, but he just always stayed up in that area, top 5, and he was the first one to beat Lewis Hamilton since Nico Rosberg. It's just all you need is consistency.
Yeah, and then looking at we have even more drivers who have podiumed in the pro class. We got what is that? 14 drivers, I believe, that have podiumed for the AM class. That's very impressive.
Yes, it is. Now we do a full pace lap here at Sebring.
Yeah. That's why we're talking about some stats here. We gotta wait.
We've got time to kill, and I do not believe that Nick Terrell made the grid, unfortunately. So we will start.
Well, he
this
may be starting
race.
from the pits. That's what he's done every time.
Oh, very, very possible. I think we'll start this race. I don't see Sasha Kempter, but Michael Della Sala is going to start from the pits, making us a. Let's see here.
I did, by the way, forget to
31
check
cars.
I did forget to check the no passing rule, but I would assume that it's after those S's where we saw me curse Brad McCombs during quals. I would assume that that's probably the passing point.
Yes, as Mark described it in the pre-race talk, after the slow squiggly bits. So turn 4.
Squiggly bits confirmed.
I think he said turn 4. But Terry Kiger Jr. is going into sunset now. Pace car is going to pull off, and he's going to have control of the field for one last time in 2022. John Kelly jumps to the pits as well. And there he goes. Pace car is off. He has control of this field. Green flag for one last time this year. Terry Kiger Jr. is going to lead him away from Patrick Quickly and Tyler Langenberg.
Looking pretty clean through turn 1. You can nick that inside wall. I've done it personally myself before.
Yes, you can. It's not the end of the world. They'll barely even pick up damage. The barriers around here, let me tell you, they are like pillows. I went full send into the barrier in Sebring 12 with the LB2 and came out with 0 seconds of optionals.
Race is on for these guys now. You see Will Borland trying to pull out there. I believe that's Nicholas Paletti.
That is indeed in that beautiful Grello livery that Dennis Diaz and I believe Michael McCoy ran a version of at the 3 Hours of Green Hell last year.
I remember getting lapped by it.
Further back in the pack, we've got Daniel Real trying to chase down Christopher Newby, our champion, in that beautiful blue, baby blue maybe, Porsche.
Real also trying to vie with Jeff McDonald as some drivers that have a podium. They got a pole. They got 2 poles at least for each of them, and still don't have a win. So he's there in 4th. So absolutely has the opportunity of winning this race. Daniel Real does.
Yes, he does. I'd love to see him up there. I'd love to see anybody up there, really. Just get some new faces. It's the end of the season. Most of the heavy competing's been done. Nobody's battling for championships. So I'd love to see a surprise winner. It's just to spruce it up, make everybody excited for next season.
Yeah, in Pro, we have wins from Terry Calgary Jr., Will Borland, Tyler Langenberg, and Patrick Ripley so far. And then AM, we have Christopher Newby, Mark Dillon Jr., John Kelly, Zach Nuremberger, and Keith Roycroft. Right. Look at that. Going through Sunset, there's so many different lines you can take through there. A lot of passing opportunities coming down this main straight when you can take advantage of your competitor in front being a little bit slower.
I honestly don't even know what the correct line through Sunset is. It's different every time for me.
Langenberg's now, he's gotten around Ripley there going into turn 1.
He has indeed. Patrick Ripley actually went off track slightly. This is what happened to him. Just caught up in the dirt a little bit. And it'll get you. Langenberg knows he goes wide. Paul Skip does the same thing behind, as you see Will Borland going a little bit to the side. And all clean, all safe, but lost positions for both of those 2 drivers.
Yeah, that was actually Paletti losing the spots. Paul Skip was able to get through with Will Borland. Paletti lost 2 spots.
I saw a black car in the dirt, a black Porsche, and I automatically assumed that's Paul Skip.
They're next to each other, so.
All right. Well, simple correction there. And the dirt claims 2 cars, but they're still in it, so not a huge deal. Nick Paletti is under attack, though, from Jeff McDonald behind on their way into Tower. Nothing doing. He's going to follow him through the kink. I love this set of corners here. It's just so nice. Flat out. It flows so well. Awesome. 10 out of 10.
James Foreman made his way around Mark Dillon Jr. Again, keep an eye on Foreman for this race. He needs to have a really good race, and for Kelly to have a not-so-good one for him to be able to leap Kelly into 2nd place.
Ryan Tyler's got the run on. Is that Richard Curry? Lots of side-by-side action right now. Ryan Tyler's going to get it done for Richard. And Daniel Real is going side-by-side on, who is that white car? That's a new one. Antoine DeCache. Out of his...
Oh, I'm used to the BMW.
Yeah, out of his normal BMW livery. Mark Dillon Jr. in the Lamborghini. What's gone wrong for him? This is Sunset. Tricky corner. High speeds. Just loses the rear end. Wow, nice save.
Oh, good save, yeah.
Oh, he's almost back into the racing line, though, as you see. Oh! Is that Neri he hit? Possibly. I'm not sure who he hit.
Let me check. Neri does not have damage on his rear, so it wasn't him.
It looked like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, but it had the Neri colors, so I'm not sure.
Brad McCombs, maybe? Brad McCombs is in the pits, right? He towed, so I don't know if that was him.
This is what happened to Brad McCombs.
Oh, so his is a different thing.
Oh.
It just didn't stop.
Yeah.
And look at that rear wing all crinkled.
Not even that big of a collision, but enough to send him to the pits, I guess.
So much for the soft barriers, like you said, huh?
Yeah, here's Kelly on De La Sala. Real nice and close going into the hairpin. Let's see if he can use that slipstream to his advantage as they work their way all the way down to the tight left, where I've gone off many a times. He's going to back out early.
Brad McCombs already quitting out of the race after that tow that he had to do. He was the driver who was in that midfield that I was talking about for the GTD Pro positions, was currently 10th, but could finish as high as 7th and as low as 13th. So he may, especially with a pretty good turnout in the race, he may drop some more down to that 12th or 13th range.
That would not be good for him, but, I mean, unlucky. He should have just stuck it out. Has he left the session?
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, so I would have at least stuck it out, but I understand wanting to leave.
Yeah, that was a shocking amount of damage from that kind of collision.
It was. Now that's Tony Watson in the Broomless Porsche. Andrew Neri chasing him down as he gets past Richard Curry. Lots of just little squabbling.
Okay, I figured it out. It was Daniel Barnett. That's who. And actually, the damage was not as bad as. Well, maybe it is. Never mind. It didn't. Okay, never mind. It is really bad. I think maybe on the screen here he may have gotten it fixed because he was driving.
That's Neri and Curry ahead of Tony Watson and Glover almost going into the hairpin. What happened?
Tough to battle through there.
Wow, that's a lot of position. Oh my God, they're so tight. Glover on the outside of Tony Watson. That's Marcus Osborne trying to peek his way through in that USPS BMW behind, and then behind them, bringing up the rear there, behind Claybaugh is David Levine in that Tyler Langenberg colored BMW.
Some of these guys are just trying to survive this right now. It's so early.
Lots of tight racing so early on in this race.
Still, though, at the front, we saw that minor mistake by Ripley, lost him the position to Langenberg, has not reclaimed that position, still in third. And then Paletti made the mistake at the same spot, just behind him, that lost him a couple positions to Borland and Skip, and that remains the same as well. So other than those two events, the top 10 has been pretty, top 10 overall, so the leaders of this race here have been pretty unchanged.
Claybaugh seemingly carrying a lot more speed through the S's than Marcus Osborne is. Almost had to swerve out of the way. So keep an eye on that for next lap, unless he can get by before then. Oh, I do see Nick Terrell on my map, although he is blinking a little bit. He is out on track and driving. There he is in his Pellegrino BMW.
Yeah, Aaron Claybaugh currently in 14th, needs to have a good race because he is up in 5th, and he's fighting with Paul Skip and Ryan Tyler for that 4th, 5th, 6th kind of positions. And Paul Skip right now, he's running up in 5th. So Claybaugh's not, he's not going to be able to catch up if he's running back there. It's already, he has a little bit of an advantage in the drop weeks, but it's like a net 1 point.
He goes Borland
on the track.
Patrick Ripley around the outside of the hairpin. This is a tight corner, especially the way. And they make contact, no. And that's the end of the. Well, actually, like I said, pillows here at Sebring.
They look okay.
No visual damage on the cars, but lots of spots going to be lost there in that collision. I don't think that was really any driver's fault. That looked like netcode that turned into a collision. But very risky going side by side, as I mentioned. A tight corner. 3 wide into that same corner now. Oh, never mind. This is a different one. That's not the exact same one, but 3 wide still. That's Patrick Ripley, actually, who recovered from that. He's still losing spots to Marcus Osborne, and now possibly Aaron Claybaugh, and maybe David Levine as well.
Going back to that, definitely not netcode, but I do think it was just a racing incident. Tough place to be racing side by side there. I think most the drivers got away with too much damage, although I think Ripley may have a little bit more than Borland's got.
Let's see if we can get a replay of that, although we did watch it live. Let's see here. We have all the way back here. So let's take a look. Oh yeah, not netcode. Although it looked like it from my point of view for a second, but
yeah, it's just one of those. Yeah, the track's moving over to the right. There's technically enough room for Borland there, but Borland's kind of got to take it weird. Nice
Look at that.
That Boyle really disadvantaged there.
Yeah, an amazing pass there from Antoine de Cash. Really taking advantage of that little opening.
Yeah, and that helps out Jeff McDonald there for sure, who's trying to catch up to Keith Roycroft. Both those guys doing really well in the start of this AM race, pretty much putting up the same kind of pace that most of the pro guys are running as well. I mean, that's Roycroft's in 5th overall. He's up 5 spots.
Yeah. Now, Jeff McDonald did start this race on pole, if I remember correctly. So what happened there? How did Keith get ahead?
me see if I can figure that out. Try to see when he had passed. But yeah, Jeff McDonald did get the pole. Oh, okay. So Jeff McDonald made a mistake near the end of the lap. One of the last few turns, and just had a not even a full spin, just enough of a one that he had to get on the brakes and stop from sliding too much, and ended up just losing that position to Keith Roycroft. Ugh, that was close.
Good save from Zach Nirenberger. Well,
Dangerous part of the track, clearly.
Yeah. People try to race us going into there in the 12 hours, and you just got to let them have it. It's not worth your time. It's so narrow. I can barely make it in just myself.
Keith Roycroft definitely has not been able to pull away from Jeff McDonald. McDonald's right on him coming through Sunset right now. Didn't lose too much time from that mistake, but he's looking to already reclaim that position.
Yeah, he's really racy tonight, along with Antoine DeCache.
And Dan Real back there as well. Newbie.
Yeah. Antoine DeCache throwing me off a little bit. He's got those green mirrors and winglets, but he is a pro.
Yeah, this is definitely. I know he hasn't been at every race, but I believe this. If the race were to finish now, this would be his best finishing position. Although I could be wrong, but definitely one of his best races so far.
Yeah. So Nick Terrell made up a few spots now. Patrick Ripley, who's qualified second, is all the way back in 15th in class. And
yeah, Ripley decided to go into the pits. That damage was too much for him.
I believe there's only 17 cars in his class, and 2 of them are out of this race. So,
well, Borland did as well, actually. Both of them did.
Yes, but he's still behind Borland.
Yes.
Unfortunately from him, so that's a second to last. Not how he wanted to spend his final race of 2022 in E4A, but that's racing, I suppose. He knows the ways of how hard it can be. The lows are low and the highs are high.
Yeah, Patrick Ripley, a racer that had a lot of places to potentially gain from this one. Borland, unfortunately, was one where he needed a good one to stay up where he was at. He's currently in 8th. Best he could finish is 7th. Worst he could finish is 14th. So this one, I mean, he's got a lot of work to make up here. Hoping that maybe that was within the pit strategy of the final splash and dash, but he needed to have a good points finish to stay in the top 10, and he's kind of had some, Patrick Ripley and Brad McCombs behind, also having bad races, so he may survive, but it'll be tough to keep the position he's in the championships.
Yeah, it could be tricky, but I mean, anything's possible. Christopher Craig, speaking of tricky, into Sunset he goes. The tricky corner on this track, in my opinion, and just a little bit too much on the rear end. Does exactly what Mark Dillon Jr. did. Manages to keep it out of the wall. And
is that Mark Dillon Jr. also?
That's Zach. That's Zach with his number 32. They're running the same paint tonight. I don't know if it's on purpose to confuse us or what. Marcus Osborne in front of Ryan Glover. Aaron Claybaugh.
Oh, no.
And David Levine just barely. But he gets caught.
Oh, that was huge net code. That was massive net code.
Yeah. I was trying to call out the names there. Ryan Glover, Aaron Claybaugh, David Levine. And who is that? That is James Foreman, all affected by that crash. James Foreman making the only contact with Marcus. Patrick Ripley, some issue for him. And this is turn 1, as we saw him do on lap 2. Slight mistake.
Yeah, nothing too bad. I'm trying to keep an eye on Osborne, see if it's bad enough he's going to pit. And I think it may be one where he has to do that. We are 20 minutes or 15 minutes in, so.
Well, that is not the graphic that we wanted to see, but we can see everybody's had a 7-minute fuel stint, or a 7-lap fuel stint so far.
I would imagine.
None of the top 10 have pit yet.
By looking at, some overall standings, I mean, we got Antoine DeCache, we just mentioned. He's up 8 spots from where he started in the overall standings. Ryan Tyler's up 7, a driver who has a lot to gain again from this final race here. Andrew Nary's up 9. So a lot of big movers, certainly some taking advantage of some incidents that we've already seen, but some of these are just good old-fashioned on-track passes.
This may not be a good old-fashioned on-track pass from Jeff McDonald.
Oh,
It's kind of the opposite.
oh, I mean, that could be worse. I mean, that's, I guess if you want to spend somewhere, go into the, you know, the tarmac over there, but he has been hounding Keith Roycroft. He's going to have to make that back up again.
I've been told that in that corner you want to use that tarmac for extra speed down the straight, but I'm not sure if that's the manner you want to do it in.
Yeah, I mean, you got to use more than you think. That's a little bit too much.
Atticus Middleton coming out of the pits. Just pulling over, I guess. Maybe trying to let everybody through before he has to rejoin. Now, Christopher Newby and Daniel Real. We've seen this happen before. Ryan Tyler's going to sneak by, and Adrian Garcia-Vigil all sneaking by. None of those were for class except for Daniel Real.
Yeah, Real was, yeah.
So I clarified earlier that, never mind, I'm correct. So Real is the only one there that he lost class position to for Newby. But still not what you're looking for. Daniel Real is actually up to P2 now because of Jeff McDonald's mistake. And Christopher Newby and
off. Ooh, that was Vigil, I believe.
Vigil, yes, having a little issue. As well as Donovan Johnston. Here's what happened to him. Just a little bit too much.
Out of nowhere.
I believe this is going into that.
Yeah, so that was the squiggly bits.
Yes, that was the beginning S's. I was disoriented for a second there. But Daniel Real and Ryan Tyler into sunset. Ryan Tyler pulls out to the inside. Has a wheel up there. He's going to take it.
Yep.
Very ambitious. Nicely done. And this is Keith Roycroft and Paul Boyle. Keith currently leading his class.
Jeff might be able to make a move on Newby here.
I would argue that Paul has the optimal line here, and he gets
coming
ahead.
into turn one. Jeff McDonald's making a move.
Here we go. Christopher Newby on the outside. I think that's the optimal line here. Newby's going to keep it for at least now and there. He's looking to get past McDonald and throw a wrench in that fight, but won't do it just yet.
Yeah, on the outside, you get to dictate the turn a little bit more. Left guy, inside guy just has to hug the inside. Outside, you have a lot more freedom with how you want to take that turn. So it can be done passing on the inside, but you kind of got to be equal footing going into the turn to do it. McDonald was coming from a little bit behind.
It's definitely not the way you want to lose your race, trying to risk something in turn one of Sebring.
Yeah, he didn't push it too much for sure.
So, well done. Here's John Kelly and what looks to be Steven Shepard, who's in a Ferrari for once. Interesting. We usually see him.
He may
in
have
the
that the last race, but I could be wrong.
I'm used to seeing him in the BMW, but John Kelly having a little scrap with him. Who John was in second place in the championship, I believe. As we mentioned, that's locked down, if I'm correct.
It's not. It's pretty locked down. James Foreman needs to have a really good race, and Kelly needs to have a bad one. There's like a almost 20-point advantage when you factor in the drop weeks for Kelly. So it's almost locked.
So it's pretty almost locked. John Kelly down in 11th, not where he want to be if he was hoping to keep that second place. But James Foreman's not having a stellar race. So I think he'll be all right. James Foreman only 4 positions ahead.
Yeah, the problem is Foreman, Jeff McDonald losing sunset. No crash, but losing a bunch of time here.
Exactly what we saw Mark Dillon Jr. do. Jeff McDonald, he's got the pace tonight, but I think he's just pushing a little bit too hard. He's not in the right headspace for it.
He had some aero wash there for sure.
That as well, and the Porsche, all the weight's in the back with that engine. So, it can happen.
But,
we saw... Go ahead.
James Foreman, a driver who, much like a couple that we've mentioned before, Christopher Craig, Nicholas Paletti, a driver who has not really had any bad races. So the further you get into the season with these drop weeks, the less advantage you have.
Ooh.
Man.
Terrible for Will Borland, unfortunately. Makes contact with the spinning Atticus Middleton. in Sunset. That corner, like I said, super tricky.
But just with the amount of drop weeks, it certainly can benefit the drivers that, maybe have a couple off races but can put in like really big ones. Of course, John Kelly has a win that he got at Mid-Ohio and has had a number of podiums. Foreman's been incredibly consistent, but unfortunately some of those like good consistent races have been dropped from the record because we just dropped the bottom 4.
Yeah, they have been dropped indeed. So I guess we'll have to see how that comes out, but it's looking towards John Kelly, I think.
Yeah, that would be my assumption at the current where they are currently. I think even if they finish in these current positions, that would be the case. It would certainly be closer, but
we know how our predictions here on the broadcast pan out, don't we? They always curse people. Ryan Tyler trying to make it around the outside of Sunset. Obviously doesn't work right now, but he might have the exit speed. I don't think so. It's always a possibility to consider, though. John Kelly and Steve Shepard still going at it, as we checked in on them a while ago. And Steve Shepard, has a lot of overspeed on him.
Wow, yeah.
Just goes right into the back of him.
It's a tough turn.
Wanted to check on that before we check on Nick Paletti, who going into turn 2, I think he's just going to outbrake himself. No, not quite. Just the rear end. That Porsche seems to not handle the bumps quite as well with the weight placement here as, say, any other car, really.
Oh, there's
that
car back there. It's a white one.
That is 13th place. So...
Is that Marcus Osborne?
13th place is Marcus Osborne.
Yep. He's got going again at least. I don't know if there's any damage to it. He already had the pit for damage before.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, that's
front bumper.
Oh no, he hasn't pit. That's why. That's what happened. He didn't pit from that earlier damage. It probably kind of caused that, and now he's got a lot of damage.
It's not what you want to see.
Yeah, Ryan Tyler, by the way, you just had highlighted him there. A driver who's, he definitely qualified out of position. We've seen him have some really good pace this season. Has missed a couple of races, but he's made up 8 spots overall. I was kind of surprised to see him qualify as low as he was, and now he's there up in 7th, trying to get Paletti for 6th.
Not doing too bad. Nick Paletti, although he had a slight issue earlier on. Daniel Real is my driver of the night currently. We don't generally see him up this high, but he is killing it in that baby blue Porsche.
I don't know. We've seen him up high quite a lot. It's just, unfortunately, the races haven't always finished the way he's wanted. He's had 4 poles this season, and still has only come out with 1 podium. Hopefully, he can get another podium and maybe even a win. Take a maiden win for the season. Him and Jeff McDonald, 2 drivers who were trying to do that tonight. A little bit harder for Jeff McDonald now.
Yeah, him taking a maiden win for the season will be a Pony Express maiden win, actually, as he is listed as a rookie. So, yeah, Daniel Real has great chance, honestly, to take his first win in Pony Express. We've seen Keith Roycroft. He took his first win this season at Fuji, and I think that was his only one. He's had some terrible luck in this season. I think he was meant to have a decent chance at Bathurst until issues, or am I remembering it wrong?
He came up on a guy, and it was in the name of the turn is escaping me, but it's the blind turn. There was a car just sideways there. He crashed, and nothing he could do, nothing he could know about it coming, and they ended his race.
Yes, so Keith Roycroft does have that pace, but he also ends up with some pretty poor luck that's out of his control. So either one, I'd be happy if they won, Keith or Daniel.
For the bracket, that's the word I'm looking for. Oh, Terry Cocker Jr. into the pits there. So probably look for some pit stops here by a lot of the guys. Tyler Langenberg staying out. But for the bracket, Tyler Cowger's pretty much got it locked up, I think, from Marcus Osborne. Osborne's unfortunately had some crashes, had some incidents, but that Jeff McDonald, Zach Nurnberger one, after that kind of a couple minor spins that Jeff McDonald had and some charging through the field, as is customary from Zach Nurnberger, they're just 2 positions apart, and that's winner take all for the bracket here.
Yes, it is. So, still very close. I mean, what was it, about a second before? Let's pause that. All the people coming into the pits is throwing off my thing, but Christopher Craig has had an issue in Sunset. Too much rear end.
Yeah, that was the second time we saw the exact same. He went a little bit more to the left last time. He's trying to really make up a lot of positions after, unfortunately, having to start with the EOL from the Road America race, actually.
I think it was kind of funny that I could see his arms in the cockpit turning left as he went around.
Didn't fix it.
But no, it did not. Once these Porsches get going, they get going. That's for sure.
So,
Antoine
Langenberg.
Let's hear about Tyler.
Yeah, Antoine DeCache right there on Boyle.
But Antoine DeCache up there in P3 with a decent chance of going up to P2, although this is before they pit. So not quite set in stone, but still really good from him.
Yeah, it's still for like the P5 kind of position there in Pro.
Yeah, DeCache is, let's see here, he's down in 19th for the season. His best finish, actually, he's taking a provisional most nights, it seems.
Yeah, he's missed a lot. His best, I believe, was 36 points, which is
that would be about 8th? Yeah, a little bit.
7th, 8th, something like that. So
Around
yeah,
there.
looking like it's on for a PB.
Yeah, so although being absent, he's still bringing his A game tonight. We'll see where they filter out when this pit cycle ends. Tyler Langenberg, who won Watkins Glen on field strategy, I believe, if I remember correctly. It's been 2 weeks, so excuse me. But Tyler Langenberg, who won by going an extra lap each time at Watkins Glen, takes an extra lap tonight. Could that be Terry's downfall?
Well, it does certainly, absolutely, he took 3 stints, I think, of those 4, an extra lap, which was remarkable for that race. Seemed to be a little bit less rare to do, as he had a few guys behind: Boyle, DeCache, Paletti, Tyler, Claybaugh. So a little bit less rare from on the fuel saving. So it may not be as big of an effect as we saw at Watkins Glen, where he was basically the only guy on the entire track that was able to do what he did.
And he got jumped by Paul Skip, although Paul
Yep.
Skip's off track now. So it didn't last very long, but Paul Skip did come out ahead of him. So we get some blinking going on.
Yeah, that's interesting that Skip came out ahead, though. I wonder if maybe Langberg just had a slow in lap, or in the time spent in the pit stop was 2 seconds longer for Langenberg. He was in his box for 22.4 seconds, only 20.7 for Paul Skip. So not sure what's going on there. That's just fuel related. So I don't know why there was a 2-second difference if Paul's Skip is under fueling for some reason, but that's where he was able to get that jump.
Interesting. I'd like to see how long Terry spent in the pits, but
21.0.
So he's right
it's
in the
split
middle.
between the two. Well, actually closer to Paul Skip. Yeah, actually.
Interesting. Mac Johnson, hello, from his home. Not here racing with us tonight, unfortunately, but he is in the crowd rooting people on.
Mac, who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for Zach to win the bracket as a good teammate?
Mac's a Zach hater. In good fun.
He's, again, now they're actually, not next to each other on the track, but that's for positions. 7th, 8th right there. McDonald 7th, Nürnberger 8th for that bracket battle.
Yes, they are. John Kelly is closer. Let's see here. Mac Johnson's at work. He's watching us at work, not at home. And
Yeah,
he
he
is
said
rooting
work on
in
Wednesdays.
he's rooting in Zach's favor. We'll have to see how that plays out as Andrew Neri tries to pass on Adrian Garcia Vigil. into Sunset.
Yeah, the track is actually a lot cooler than when I had mentioned it near the end of quals. Celsius, it's all the way down to 34 degrees Celsius, which it was 40. So it's gotten a lot cooler. It was like, I think, 104 degrees Fahrenheit down to 93 now. So certainly a lot more doable. However, I think we're seeing some pretty big tire wear because the times are just not there. The Terry's pole time was a 1:58.4. His best time of the whole race is only a 1:59 flat. His last was a 1:59.7. So I think that tire wear is certainly having an effect. I didn't see anyone take tires, at least in those top positions. Looks like I think Ryan Tyler did. I think Ryan Tyler took some tires, but I don't see anyone else in the top 20 overall that did.
So Mac says he cost Paul P2 in 04A to help ZP, and Mac just got here. All right.
That was me, actually. Yes, me, Zach,
Yes,
versus
ZP.
Z and Zach.
Did I say ZP or Zach?
You just said Zach.
Okay, so you, Zach. I should have specified. I call Mr. Zach Purcell my co-commentator, ZP. Well, everybody does. Anyways.
You know.
Well, we all
Look at
someone out of
Paul
this.
Skip has caught up after that slight mistake after the pit round. He's just half a second back on Tyler Langenberg coming down the main stretch here. Seemed to be a lot faster through Sunset on that go around.
These are what the lap times look like. Obviously, rather skewed from the pit stops, but
7/10 faster though. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, that's 7 seconds. I think that's part of the pit stop issues there.
Oh well, no, he actually was 7/10 difference on the last lap though.
Oh, all right. Oh, I'm looking.
You're
at
looking at skipping the cash.
Yeah,
That's why.
That's my
That's
problem.
why
So I got to go to Langenberg. There we go. All right, 7/10, almost
7/10.
8, closer to 8/10 even.
Yeah. Definitely caught up on that one, and he is not falling back on this lap either.
No, he's not. He is doing well to chase him down.
Skip's been really in form in this last third of the season. Certainly, not like he was slow at the start or anything. Just had some bad races, I think, but has been really close up there. Road America, Watkins Glen, now here tonight in Sebring. Been pretty darn quick, and Tyler Langenberg has been there the whole season for sure. He's been in form throughout the whole thing. One of the only guys that's been able to take the fight to Terry, but Paul's looking good today.
Yeah, he is. Paul is looking really good today, and hoping maybe we'll see him back up on that podium again. Although I wouldn't mind seeing Antoine up there either. Maybe both.
Yeah,
maybe,
that would be exciting.
Maybe Terry or Tyler have some sort of problem. We see them both up there.
Yeah, certainly Terry not experiencing any problems right now. I mean, man, he's pulled out to now 8-second gap. He's running really consistent laps. Best lap is like half a tenth faster. Actually, Paul Boyle's put in it's only 2/10 faster than Paul Boyle. I guess we got to keep an eye on that. I didn't notice how high Paul Boyle's had on pace. 1:59.2, very impressive. I believe that's the second highest in the field.
Yeah, here's our champion newbie going side by side, but he's gonna back out with Tony Watson. Let's take a
newbie,
look.
nothing to lose. So
Let's take a look
he
at
can
our
have
best
fun.
times. So not that big of a difference. I mean, 8/10, but we've seen bigger gaps between Pro and Am here tonight, or well, this season. Terry Calgary Jr.
Yeah,
of
especially on a
course,
long track like this.
with a 1:59.0, leading his class by it looks like a lot. People behind him 4/10 slower, 3/10 slower, and then Jeff McDonald. Other than Keith Roycroft, it looks like he's the only person in the 1:59s in GTD Am.
Yeah, it's just those two guys, and then like I said, he's just outside of your things there. But yeah, Paul Boyle does have a 1:59.2 in right now.
He does. All right.
He's there in that 4.56 that's hidden.
So, top three and Paul Boyle, all pretty fast. And then further down the field in our GTD is Mr. Donald, the fastest lap.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I think Ryan Tyler may have taken. He either took 1 or 2 tires. Certainly lost a lot of positions doing it, and he had kind of qualified out of position, had made up some, but he had to try something. So I'm interested to see if that plays a role late in this race, but has to pay for it early.
I guess we'll find out. I just want to take a moment, though, to appreciate the car of this man right here, Aaron Claybaugh, saying goodbye to Mattia Binotto at Ferrari. I think it's long overdue, and nothing to say bad about him. Just glad he's gone.
Patrick Ripley, by the way, right now,
All the way back
really
up to
all
fifth.
over the aforementioned Antoine Decache.
Oh.
Was playing pretty safe going into turn 1. Could have made a desperate move, but I think he's trying to size up his best opportunity. Not that Paul Boyle behind has very much space between the two. He's got to worry about Paul behind as well.
Yeah, they're definitely tight, but Patrick Ripley was all the way down in last, 15th place earlier on, where Will Borland now sits, but Patrick Ripley's all the way back up to 5th. That's
Well, believe
impressive.
it or not, he just did his fastest lap.
So he's only getting quicker. Interesting.
And then not only that, but it was the fastest lap on the entire track. I mean, it's only 59.2, just like what Paul Boyle was able to do a few laps ago. Will Borland, who we saw Ripley and Borland come together. Will Borland has DNF'd from the session, unfortunately. Again, like I said, one that couldn't really afford to have a bad race with the amount of possible points he could lose. So that'll be a rough one, but Ripley's trying to do his best to make up for it, and it just all comes down to if that is in the pit window or not. He's going to have to pit soon. He's currently in 5th. Will be 14 laps on this stint. So
Well,
I just we'll know late if that the timing of the crash was bad or not.
It's a 3-stop race here, and that means he's still got to go 75 minutes. That means there's got to be 75 minutes to the end to make it work. I think he should be good.
He has to go in now. So yeah, 14. I think we saw most drivers, like we saw Terry take 13, and then we saw the guys who went a little bit long, like Tara Langenberg. They went 14, I believe.
Yep.
So that was as long as he could take it. I guess we'll find out later. I doubt he'll take tires. He's got so much to make up for right now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but let's get some action for this beautiful Zach Nirenberger special gradient paint, as he so loves to run, is that Lamborghini paint. Is that a flamingo on the roof?
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, just an appreciation. I think it's because of Florida. They're running flamingos, and
Yeah, Miami Vice theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
so I just kind of connected the dots. Mark Dillon Jr., who is out of the race, was also running the same paint, but now that there's only one of them, we won't get him confused.
He's just 4 seconds back from Jeff McDonald right now.
Well, we can still see that bracket challenge play out. That's for sure.
We saw last time. It's been a little bit since we brought it up, but Daniel Rial's trying to catch up to Keith Roycroft. Kind of petered out. He has not fallen back, but it's been pretty much the same gap for the last few laps that we've seen. So it's kind of stalled, but 3 seconds is certainly close enough for both drivers to really feel each other.
How about this for being close enough to feel each other? 3/10 now, Paul Skip
Yeah.
and Tyler Langenberg. Not too far away is Paul Skip from making that pass. We've seen him really close forever, but I can feel it coming. I know it's going to happen soon.
Langenberg definitely not the kind of guy to lose his head with someone following close. Certainly evidenced by his Ofere championship last season, I mean, there's plenty of, with open wheelers, especially F4 cars. There's tons of following very, very closely, and he's extremely comfortable with that, and won by a nice margin as well.
Yeah, so Tyler Langenberg, although he may not be stressing out, Paul Skip does have some pace behind him. We'll have to keep an eye on them. Let's take a look back to Ryan Tyler and Zach Nurenberger, who we've been seeing before. Ryan Tyler desperate to get that move done so he can get ahead of the lower class car, but just can't seem to find the time.
Yeah, again, Ryan Tyler on that different tire strategy, and this is not helping his attempt at this, trying to catch up mid-race to have that tire advantage at the end. He's got to get around as soon as he can.
Yeah, and Zach Nurenberger is not making it easy. Although they're in different classes, he is still racing them hard.
Yeah, and Nurenberger is, of course, just like me, just like as I do, doesn't practice a whole lot through the week. So you expect him during the race itself, to actually continue to get faster and improve as he gets more comfortable. So I fully recognize the situation he's in. It's what I do every single race.
Yeah, that's how I used to operate. And then last season I tried to go for the championship, then got a job that interfered with it and gave up.
Classic.
Yeah.
Mac Johnson can tell you how that feels.
Yes, he can. He's still watching. He misses racing with us and mowing bloater. That's an old joke. I haven't heard that in a long time. But we broadcast just for Mac Johnson and the people that can't be here to race, but like to watch the community or their loved one or their son or anybody do some racing on a Wednesday night. And I'm excited to return for next season.
Paul Skip around Langenberg.
All right, well,
Sending it in that one passing zone that we've seen a few. Oh, almost went a little too deep there. That was a brave send, and certainly Langenberg saw that coming. But wow, yeah, if you have a replay on that, I'd love to see that again.
yeah, we'll find that here just a second. This will be. Here we go.
Way later on the brakes. Almost
Wow.
too late, but just enough.
That was great. I was too busy
Really
talking
confident
about
move.
next season.
Yeah, I think Langenberg, the decision he had to make there, certainly, only 44 minutes in the race, was let's just see if he'll outbrake himself here. And he almost did, but not quite. Skip kept it within the limits of the track, and really solid pass, and some smart defending for Langenberg with it not even being halfway into the race yet.
Yeah, we're only
Different
45
line there
minutes
for
in.
Langenberg.
Wow, time has flew by this race. That's for sure.
Yeah, won't disagree with you there. It's so much stuff to look at here on the track, but then again, like now is like we can really see there's so much less hypothetical. Like if we know if the driver finishes here, he's gonna finish. It's nice to see these things finally play out after so much hypothesizing for this season.
Yeah.
One driver who in championship conversations is I've been surprised to see John Kelly. He had been making up a lot of spots. Obviously, he started from the pits on purpose, and certainly was making his way through the field. And it's kind of slowed down. He's a guy who's usually had top 2, top 3 pace. Oh, engineer there just got into that dirt. But John Kelly, top 2, top 3 pace for most of the races. I mean, he's had some pretty crazy comebacks when he usually starts from the pits. Still there in 8th, and it's kind of been the same gap to Jeff McDonald in the front. I think there's been a lot of strong runners for this track, and he is behind James Foreman, but Foreman needs to be way ahead of John Kelly to really make those positions swap in championship.
So now, Tyler Langenberg not falling far behind once Tyler Langenberg or Paul Skip got ahead of him. So I'm sure we could see these two invert positions again any time now.
For sure.
Paul Skip has failed to run away with it, although I'm not sure we really expected him to run, but maybe just increase that gap a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't even a pass that was really made by it being like just so much faster in pace than Langenberg in front. It was just a really brave and well executed send, and it can definitely be paid back to him by Langenberg in these coming laps. But these guys are pretty evenly matched here.
Yes, they are, and I love to see it because there's nothing better for us than on-track battles, especially between the skill level of these two here.
Yeah, I'm taking a look at some of these last laps. We still do have Patrick Ripley putting in fast laps. He's just, we got to figure out if he's on the strategy or off the strategy, but he's one of a select handful of guys here that have been consistently putting in sub 59s. But actually, wow, last lap for Antoine Decache on still used tires was a 1:59.014. That would be the fastest lap if Terry hadn't reset it just like 2 laps ago at a 1:58.9. That's a cracking lap by Antoine Decache, who already qualified well and has made up a lot of positions. And it just keeps getting even better. He's got Paul Boyle behind, but clearly he's got the pace to stay ahead right now.
Yeah, and I think you can see just how bumpy this track is with that gyro cam.
Yeah.
Really bouncy through turn 1 where the car is right on the edge, and if he hits these curves, just how tall they are as well. That's for you, Bryce. You got your race, your every race gyro cam shot.
Yeah, this is one that you have to. That's part of some of these incidents that we. Some of these incidents that we see is the bumps make the car unpredictable, and there's just no way around that. Sometimes you just hit a bump in an unlucky way, and it can make it really hard to save it. And we've seen, I think, probably more spins than the average track. Oh, Langenberg a little bit wide there. He saved it though, but a little bit more than the average track, I would say, as far as mistakes.
Yeah, we saw a decent amount of them at VIR in turn 1. That was the Mercedes, and then here at Sunset in the Porsche. And I'd say there was not quite as many, but Watkins Glen with the Ferrari, it was kind of just barely clicking in the mistake department.
There was a Ferrari issue at Le Mans as well. I believe it was the Porsche curves.
Yes.
That they were struggling with.
But yeah, definitely up there in terms of incidents. And speaking of incident points, how do we look for that today?
Yeah, I haven't checked on it yet. Let me see what we're seeing. Obviously, we've seen some drivers getting a couple collisions, but honestly, everyone seems to be pretty good, with the exception of only 5 drivers. Everyone is currently in the bonus points. We still have Terry Kiger Jr., Ryan Glover, Michael Del Salle, and Keith Roycroft all at 0. So I think we're gonna probably expect most of these drivers to get bonus points, but there will be a select few that don't. Patrick Ripley being one who's been caught up in a couple incidents. Another minor mistake there from McDonald, but man, that was tough. It got turned around enough. He probably had to back up, and that probably lost a lot of time.
Yeah, so Zach Nurnberger now leads the bracket.
Yeah, that's an important swap.
Tough for Jeff McDonald, who started on pole. Really rough race for him. He's down to 9th. But Aaron Claybaugh and David Levine both having great races, up 7 positions each. As we'll check back in here on Paul Skip and Tyler Langenberg because they're getting close again. But James Foreman's up 5 positions. Ryan Glover's up 4. Tony Watson's up 4. Zach Nurnberger is up 5. Marcus Osborne has an issue. We'll check on him, and then we'll dip right back to Terry and Paul, or Tyler and Paul, because they are mighty close. Ooh, a little bit too much there.
Yeah, well, it looked like I think he actually just barely nicked the grass or the dirt there on the entrance.
Yeah, Grassier and me are not friends. Well, actually, we're not that bad of friends. But,
Marcus Osborne says, every time I pass somebody, I spin, so maybe I should stop passing people.
well, let other people spin, Marcus. That's my word of advice.
What happened to... Daniel Rial went in the pits. Okay, that was kind of early. That was only a 12-lap stint. I mean, I doubt that was because he couldn't make it 13. Interested to know his strategy there for doing one lap early. But he had kind of started to fall a little bit away from Keith Roycroft some more. We were looking at it earlier. It was about 3 seconds flat. It was a little bit over 4 seconds. Again, Keith, as I mentioned, driver with 0 incidents so far, running a very clean race. We're now past the halfway point, so he can be potentially looking at a second win. For him, ideally, it would be a win by a little bit more than 100th of a second, like it was at Fuji.
I think Daniel Royale pit early and took tires because if we're looking at the pit stop times of the top 10,
yes.
they're all in 20 seconds, and Daniel Royale took about 40.3. So, something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think that's all 4 tires, I believe. I believe it's like about 5 seconds a tire. So,
sounds about right.
He's taking a full set, and we'll see. Taking a full set I don't think has been the answer to the strategy in any race so far, but I mean, I'm not the one in the cockpit, so.
Keith Roycroft is into the pits, so I think this is where we're going to see the difference. Daniel Royale chasing down first place earlier. If Keith takes the tires, then I guess it'll be net zero in that term, but I don't know.
I would be surprised to see him take 4 tires. We've seen Keith, I think, stick it out on one set for a lot of these races.
But we've also seen the BMW be pretty tricky towards the end on tire wear.
For sure. But temperatures are dropping, and they're continuing to drop, making it easier. No tires for Keith. But the lowering, the temperatures reducing certainly helps with the tire wear when we get to the end.
It definitely does. So Keith choosing not to take tires and Daniel Royale taking tires. That could be his mistake of the evening. Or Keith can make a mistake without taking those tires, and that could be the end. Jeff McDonald is right behind Zach Nurnberger now. I think that's pace.
Well, actually, McDonald was after the spin, I believe, was just over a second. I think he's. Let me check the lap times. His last time was a 1:59.9. Nurnberger was a 2.1. So they're pretty much equal right now.
Yeah. I thought that Jeff McDonald had fallen far further back than he is currently, but obviously I thought wrong.
Terry's into the pits after a 14-lap stint, which we saw him do a 13-lap stint for the start of the race. So he was able to do the same length that Tyler Langenberg was able to on the first stop.
Tyler Langenberg going 15 this time. Paul Skip followed Terry in. Very interesting. Tyler seems to be the fuel-saving man here.
Well, I mean, he took it a lap longer than the previous one, so at the very least, we should see him take it 1 lap longer here. 2 would be pretty crazy, but you know, a whole lap of clean air is really useful when he's been battling with, you know, Paul Skip for the last 15 laps.
That could make the difference when it comes down to it. We'll have to see. Any tire watching happening going on? You seen?
None of the guys at the top currently. I'm seeing any take. Obviously, Terry none. Aaron Claybot decided not to take any tires. I'm keeping an eye on. Not a lot of people. Honestly, Terry pit pretty early. We usually see him sticking it out pretty late, but there's a lot of guys going extra laps here.
Yeah, I think. What do you think? We give our in-car interview a debut segment here as the pits start to happen?
Yeah, I mean, if you think that, I mean, I don't want. He's he's in a pretty competitive situation right now. I didn't want to distract Nürnberger here. He's certainly having to put in some good pace. Barely being able to hold off. I mean, he's coming into the pits now, I think maybe. But having to hold off Jeff McDonald behind. I mean, I don't want to take any time away from him. As much as he'd be nice, I think that we'd be slowing him down, unfortunately.
We could grab him while he's in the pits. He's still in the pits,
Langenberg
right?
coming into the pits now.
He's in the pits, I think. We'll grab him quick, and if he wants to be sending back, we'll send them back. But we'll try it out here. Maybe. There we go. Zach.
Bad at it.
Well,
You
Zach's
hear
not in
Zach?
the pits right now.
All right. You want to give us an interview, or are you too stressed right now?
Absolutely. You're about to take her into the pits here, so I got plenty of time.
All righty. So what's going through your mind with Jeff McDonald only a second back?
What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
That wasn't you guys. That was me finally losing it.
I told you.
All right. So what's going through your mind with
Well-
Jeff McDonald only a second ahead?
Well, that was my very, very first spin, and Jeff was struggling a little bit. I think in Sunset, I want to say he's probably had 3 or 4. So I was just kind of hoping that I'm not faster than him. You can ask Mark all about the Lambo. He'll give you a whole bunch of adjectives to describe it, and none of them are going to be good.
His one lap in it.
Yeah. So hold on, I'm just going to focus on the pit entry. There we go.
All right.
Planning
so
on taking tires?
We're gonna take a look here, and I can actually give you guys a live update. I think Keith was at 67, and his fronts we're pulling in at 78.
70.
Yeah, the
So-
BMW certainly melts some tires.
Yeah, definitely no tires. I think the Lambo's just been so hard to drive. I think it's hard to push to the limits. So, other than that spin, I think I just have to keep it on track and hope Jeff kind of continues to struggle there through Sunset. But with the temperatures dropping, it's only gonna be easier. So it's gonna be interesting.
All
You're
right.
definitely underplaying your pace a little bit. You were running low 2s. He was running high 159s. It's actually quite close in these last few laps here.
Yeah, and he just came out of the pits just a few seconds ahead. I think he definitely has a pace advantage. The Lambo is just not the car choice for this track, but we've seen it a million times. Consistency is usually a lot better than speed, so we're gonna hope I can stay consistent.
All right. Well, we won't distract you any longer, as we saw what it did when you're on track. But thanks for joining us.
Man. ZP had to get one commentator's curse in this season at least.
Oh, we've already done that multiple times.
That's like the
Oh,
7th.
wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at least you had to get this first in-person one.
There you go, first hand. All right, thanks, Zach.
Take it easy, guys.
All right, so Zach's worst fear came true for Zach. They're both
Yes.
Zach's. Anyways. So
Tire chat update. As you'd asked earlier, Richard Curry took 4. Christopher Newby took 4. Adrian Garcia-Heel took 4. And we already had from Daryl and Ryan Tyler. I think that's it. So everyone else, I haven't seen anyone take 1 tire. Oh, it looks like Christopher Craig, I think, took 2. Interestingly, Ryan Tyler he has to be coming. Okay, he took 15 laps on that stint. I don't think we've seen a 15-lap stint by anybody yet. Pretty sure Langenberg's first was 14. So really good fuel saving there. Again, Tyler was one who had taken two tires in that first stop.
Actually, Calgary did a 15-lap stint. It says that might
Oh,
be
he
his
did?
blinking though. We've seen his blinking.
because it also says Ripley did 29.
Well, Patrick's just on another level. But
I thought that because Calgary pit the same lap as Skip, it had to be 14.
yes.
They pit the same lap.
Yeah. So after about a lap, all that will update, and we can see some new info. Specifically, I'm interested in the pit stop time, although you say there's nothing super out of the ordinary there.
No, not as far as taking the tires. I mean, people using different amounts of fuel. But I mean, if we're looking at like the top guys, it's the difference of a few tenths: 21.7, 21.2, 21.4, 21.7, 21.9, 21.7. So not a lot of difference even in fuel usage, I don't think.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, Ryan Tyler. Ooh.
Yeah, that was tight
close
with Richard Curry. Yeah. But after those pit stops, things are tightening back up on track. They kind of fell away for a while, but look at this. We've got a pack here. Little train. That's Keith Roycroft leading that second segment. And Christopher Newby, the champion, is right next to him.
Well, you got a couple guys still to pit, I think, right? Because
Ryan Glover, James Foreman, I think they have to pit still.
Let's see. Glover's on.
Real and Kelly
He's on
as well.
lap 4. Did something happen to Keith Roycroft?
I don't think so. I think
They just pit just recently.
Glover and Real and Foreman as well.
Yeah, they've all. Glover's on lap 4, Foreman 3, Real 5.
Huh. Interesting. Keith Roycroft maybe had some issues that we didn't catch here.
Yeah,
Richard
let me
Curry.
hunt this down.
Going off in the, what is that turn called? Oh, I used to know it by heart.
It looks like Keith had an incident on his
Here we go,
on his
found it.
outlap
I see
and came back in immediately to get it repaired with a fast repair.
it. This is it. Boom.
Wow, that was so weird.
I must have just broke his steering tie rod or something and messed up his steering wheel.
I mean, yeah, he got in and out as fast as he could. But yeah, that suddenly puts Ryan Glover in the first. Who again? I don't even know where that came from because we were talking about
Daniel
Foreman up there, Real. I don't know where Glover came from. I'm sorry, Ryan. He snuck up on us.
Well, he's up there now, sporting that Multimatic logo on his banner. So I'm sure Ryan Tyler and Patrick Ripley will be happy about that. But well done for him to sneak up there undetected.
Yeah, Ryan Glover up 10 spots overall. Foreman up 18. Wow, another driver too that has made up a lot of spots we haven't talked about is Tony Watson there. He's in 8th place. Overall standings is up 13th. I don't have the numbers in front of me for what it was just for the pro class, but for a driver who last week I think was his first week back in a couple months, pretty impressive showing to so much improvement so far in this race.
Yeah, so in class we've got Foreman up 9, Levine up
Wow.
8. We've got Glover up 7. We've got Clayball up 6, DeCash up 6. Who else here? It's notable. Paul Skips up 3. Nurnberger's up 3.
Give Foreman some credit again. He's doing everything that he needed to, as we talked about earlier. For him to take that second place, he needed to have a really good race. And up in second place with a hunt for first, he definitely is. Just the only problem is that Kelly's having too good of a race behind him. So Foreman's doing everything he needs to right now, and he just has to cross his fingers for, a crash or a spin or something to happen. Otherwise, Kelly will be our second place finisher for GTDM.
Nick Terrell, the legend, who will no longer be a legend next season as the I-rating cap comes down, or comes up, I guess, and scares Richard Curry a little bit. I wouldn't say scares, but comes up behind him, and Curry goes off track.
Man, Terry Cochran Jr. has pulled out now 11 seconds on Langenberg behind. Well, that's it just keeps getting bigger. It's the description of the season. His last lap was his fastest lap. He's still on those same tires. The Porsche hasn't been the best car with saving tires, not as bad as the BMW, but he just put in a 158.6. How does he qualified at 158.4. He's almost there. He's almost at his qualifying time. I understand track tips going down, but he is just never not on it.
Yeah, we can see at the top there, 158.6, and then in GTD AM, 159.2. So not a huge gap there, really.
No, but that is a pretty remarkable time for GTD AM. I mean, there's very few pros that have have gotten to that time there. Who is that has that? Is that that's Jeff McDonald? So really good lap time. His last lap was also 1:59.3, so he's still got that pace right now.
So he's got that pace. That's where he is, and that's where Zach Nurnberger is. So I don't know. He's kind of running away with it at this point. So just to clarify for Mac Johnson, the broadcast is returning for 2023 season 1. We're having a lot of fun here tonight, and I think we've picked up a few tricks that we can spice up the broadcast next season as well. Zach Nurnberger, I've said too much.
Well, you tried to do the opposite. You said that McDonald was starting to pull away, so you were trying to help him out. But the reverse curse, trying to use the opposite thinking there. No matter what we say, something bad happens. That's just what's to be expected.
I cannot save him tonight, it seems. No matter how hard I try. John Kelly having to check it up there that is hairpin. No. Yes. No. I don't know. Anyways, checking up on David Levine. And Paul Skip gets past Tyler Langenberg for P2, and then back pass again. Is this blinking, or is this side-by-side action? It's blinking.
It has been blinking. Is it not the case now?
Yeah, it's blinking. All right.
Okay.
And Zach Nurnberger is having even more troubles at this point.
He was just saying that he had purposely had that crash to get IndyCar steering, but strategy didn't work out.
And he's towed to the pits. Not good.
And look, if you look where he's at too, he's just down. He's just 2 spots behind Mark Dillon Jr.'s stranded Miami Lamborghini as well. So unfortunately, that a Lambo graveyard there in pit lane.
Not quite what you want to see. But can't really do much about it when it comes down to it. His car is no longer even registered on my screen. So, David Levine and John Kelly once again going at it. David Levine, of course, a pro, and John Kelly, not a pro.
Yeah, John Kelly's kind of around some a lot of pros right now, just trying not to lose any time. He's got 4. Oh wow, it's actually increased. I think now. Yeah, I think he's been being slowed down by this traffic. I thought it was like 4 or 5 seconds last time I checked on his gap to Real in front.
Yeah, Atticus Middleton was indeed racing tonight. He has since retired after a few unfortunate incidents, but he was here. That is for sure.
Yeah, as for retirements, we have the just recent Zach Nurnberger, Will Borland, Atticus Middleton, Brad McCombs, Mark Dillon Jr., and Sasha Kempter, who I don't believe even took the start.
No, he did not. But Nick Terrell, who I didn't think was going to make it in, made it in, and he is, this looks like P20 overall, so not too bad.
Yeah, his fastest lap right now is a 1:59.5, which pretty solidly puts him there in that midfield for GTD Pro. Again, no one's even close to the top couple. I mean, well, now that I say that,
158.7 from GTD Am.
Yeah, well, so there's that, and then Tyler Langenberg has actually jumped Terry Cowger Jr. But yeah, that 158.7, no shocker, that's from Jeff McDonald, who is continuing to put in screaming laps from the GTDM field there.
That's a 1/10 gap between GTD Pro and GTDM. Wow, McDonald is firing tonight.
Yeah, he's trying to make up for some minor errors made up before, and he's certain. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jeff.
Oh my! Sunset strikes again. As actually, we are
still
headed
fast.
to the sunset.
You're still fast.
As you can see, the sky slowly turning yellow. So
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock in sim, 4 times speed. So it'll be 9 o'clock when it finishes. It'll be starting to get a little dark. It won't get totally dark, but it'll start.
but surely we'll see a sunset in Sunset. And we may see a remnant of it now. It gets bright. I don't have HDR on, but going down the straight, you can see how annoying it gets.
Oh yeah, that's it's a real problem.
So that'll be interesting to watch. It won't cause a lot of problems, but it may throw some people off their top game. Maybe.
Man, look at I was just looking at the numbers. Sorry, I just wanted to bring up James Foreman started in 28th overall. He's currently in 9th. I mean, that's just ridiculous there, and he's catching up to Ryan Glover in front. His last lap actually was a little bit slower, but over the last few laps, he has caught up down to 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, he is in. He's made up 9 positions in class. I believe you said like 18 last time we checked on him.
Yep, now it's 19. So because of the that incident we had recently. So yeah, just incredible race by him for so far.
Yeah,
I think that we didn't expect him to jump up that many positions. Oh, Christopher Newby crashing in Sunset there, right behind Keith Roycroft. That's some very, very minor damage. Just got spooked by Keith there and then did the same thing.
Yeah. Atticus is still racing, but he is behind Zach Nurnberger on track. I think he just came back because of Mac.
Yeah, he is on the same lap as Will Borland, so he's got like 19 laps to go before he'll pass Zach.
He is 42 minutes behind Terry Calvert Jr., but he is back on track. Good to see. Now, speaking of coming back, for driving's sake, the Ironman bonus, which I haven't mentioned yet tonight. Who still has it?
It's not a lot. So in the pro category, we have our 3 podium sitters: Terry Carter Jr., Tyler Langenberg, Nicholas Paletti, the championship podium sitters. And then we also have Aaron Claybaugh, who's had a really consistent season, and Marcus Osborne. And all of those guys are here today and have gotten those requirements, so they'll maintain it. And then for GTDM, it's only 2 guys. It's just Christopher Newby, who, as we see, has that because he's been here, and James Foreman, who is also here, as we've mentioned his name a few times. So not a lot of guys able to, because again, it's not just showing up to every race. It's showing up to every race and doing 5 laps, which it can be pretty, when you crash on lap 1, 2, 3, sometimes you just want to quit. You just want to leave immediately then, and I don't always blame you.
Yeah, and obviously he's lost it since, but Mark Dillon Jr., who drove 5 laps of the Nürburgring while almost bedridden sick, has lost his Ironman bonus. So
yeah, he was sick then, and then he got more sick, and then wasn't able to drive at all. So yeah, I had to miss a few races. Yeah,
unfortunate, but that's the way it goes sometimes.
Well, Terry keeps pulling more of a gap. I mean, he just set another one of his fastest laps there, down to a 1:58.61. Him and Tyler are really battling over that, but just over the course of multiple laps here, Terry's just slowly increasing that gap some more. I mean, 13 seconds, that's quite a bit down the road.
Yeah.
Kelly Claybaugh. Kelly, like I said, dealing with a lot of pros today.
Yeah, we don't often check in on Terry because he's always running away, but good to see his car on track, on screen. Even though he's the winner, he probably gets the least screen time out of anybody.
Yeah. It's surprising to see, though, how much Paul Skip's fallen off the back of Langenberg. They were, oh, wow. Just had to avoid running in the back of him there. That was Claybaugh and Kelly. But Paul Skip, I mean, completely evenly matched with Langenberg earlier in this race. And, I mean, now it's like a difference of a second. Langenberg's doing mid-58s, and Paul's doing low 59s, mid-59s. I mean, I'm not to, to speak badly, he's in 3rd place. He's run really well. It's just surprising to see him and Langenberg starting to kind of pull apart. 7-second gap now.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. We've got 1.7 seconds, 6/10. I don't know. At the same time, before that, it was plus 5/10 and plus, half a tenth.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised to see that they were close right there. It's a few slow laps for Langenberg, certainly, at least when I've been checking up here on his pace that he's been doing. But looking at the incident points, by the way, just because we haven't touched on it a little bit, just 2 drivers at 0, and that's Michael Della Sala and Terry Cowger Jr. So congratulations to both of them. Obviously, we saw where Keith Roycroft lost the 0 that he had, and we got some more drivers who have incident pointed themselves out of getting a bonus, but still the majority of the field is on track to get it. Most people are at between 2 and 4, so it makes sense. There's not a lot of ways there's no like abusable track limits here. You can't get an off track and not really suffer, except for maybe turn 1. Anything else, you're probably spinning and crashing, and that has a much bigger effect on your race.
Yeah. I mean, you won't lose a lot of time going into this corner here. The hairpin, you could still run it out straight and turn right and use that runoff, but you'll lose a little more time than you really want.
James Foreman up 20 spots now. It just keeps getting better. Still about the same gap to Ryan Glover in front, though. Again, not enough credit that we've given to Ryan Glover either. I mean, as we mentioned, it kind of popped out of nowhere. But he's the driver who has only 1 podium on the season so far. Doesn't have any pole positions or wins, but it's just got 1 podium. So he's on here for a first win, and this would be a great one. I mean, Sebring is one to be proud of, to be really strong at.
Yeah, especially the season finale, and we can see now why.
And the fact that he's one of those drivers that we mentioned that's tied with somebody in the points right now with Christopher Craig.
That as well. But as we could see going into that corner, just why it's called sunset. Because when the sun sets, it's it's quite sunny there. Quite sunsetty.
Another kind of short stint there by Newbie.
But that's Vahil getting a little bit too far into the grass on the exit there, and it just throws his car to the left.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, Vahil after that just toes to the pits for some reason.
I think Terry may be coming into the pits here. Nope, never mind. He was kind of staying on the inside. He's dealing with some traffic here in Sunset. He'll be pitting sometime soon. He's on starting lap 13 here.
Yep, we're getting close now. Mac Johnson to clarify, if the Hall of Fame sheet is correct, I believe it's 2 championships. If it hasn't been updated, it'll make it 3.
Yeah, it is 2. Because going back, we have last season's, which he has that from the DHE, and then the season before that was the final of the GTE, where Paul Skip narrowly beat him out.
Okay, so Paul Skip did win the GTE championship. That's what I thought the other E4A would have come from. So, 2-time champion Terry Cowger Jr.
He's trying to fast track his way to getting legended, though.
Yeah, he is. Nick Terrell, who is still driving around as a legend, will be unlegended coming next season. I'm sure we'll see him in the LMP2.
Yes.
Knowing him.
Yeah, Terry will be just really, almost a perfect season. He's still at those 4 bonus points right now. Langenberg has caught up a little bit. Let's not, Langenberg actually just Langenberg just put in a 158.3. That's what that 158.387 is. That's his time. That was his last lap. Unreal that the track has actually warmed up a tiny bit since I last mentioned it, and man, he's still putting in fast lap times.
The track temp is now 77. Qualifying time temps were about 104, so it is down. a considerable amount. But
So the times, yeah. Even on these worn tires.
yeah, he is still cranking it out up there. Jeff McDonald yet to improve his 158.7, although he has secured his bracket championship.
Yeah, and then again, one of those first things that I'd brought attention to at the start is we got in that midfield for GTD Am. We got a lot of guys really close. Mark Dillon Jr., Keith Roycroft, and Jeff McDonald were all tied exactly. Unfortunately, Mark DNF'd on lap 2, and so currently looking at those two now, Keith Roycroft's not had a great race, or Jeff McDonald hasn't had his favorite race, but he's had a better race than Keith Roycroft, and has that capability. And with Zach Nurnberger, who was in 4th and could finish as low as 8th with his DNF, it could be that Jeff McDonald hops his way from 7th to 4th, even with the position he's sitting in. I cannot do that much math in my head. But behind that, not that far behind that, was Christopher Craig and Ryan Glover, who could finish as high as 5th, and they were tied at 3:08. And obviously, Ryan Glover's having a great race here, so he may be able to. I mean, this midfield after 3rd place in GTDM, I think is going to look very different than what it looks like right now.
Yeah, I hope we can see some sort of changes in the end. I'll try to calculate that.
Oh, wow. Whoa, Terry. Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man, that was so close. Okay, Dan Real. He spun in the second to last corner. Holy cow.
Oh.
Look at that right there. That was a gap of like an inch.
Ooh, you see him slamming on the brakes there. Steering wheel instantly goes straight to get all that maximum braking power. But he manages to keep it safe, and he goes into the pits, probably to change his pants.
I just looked up to that, and I saw like how small that gap was.
There's Daniel Real, who was all the way up in 2nd. Now he is all the way down to 7th. Does that have anything to do with pits, or is that just because of that spin? Probably the spin.
Yeah. It was pretty competitive there. I think it was just the spin. He had to sit still for a bit.
Yeah, it's an awkward spot to get going again. But wow, these cars look amazing with the nighttime coming on. I love it.
Yeah, love the lights being on. I can say that I showed, I was watching through one of our replays before, and my wife did not like the Ford because it was white headlights and everyone else was yellow. So she didn't like those different. So she'll be happy there's no Fords in this race today.
Oh, yeah, Gareth McAllister is absent, isn't he?
Yes.
So we've seen him running the Ford almost every race, and not tonight, though. And I think Andrew Neri, was he the one that joined him running the Ford? Is back to his Mercedes.
Yeah, a couple times, yeah. I know at least he did Le Mans.
Yes.
Yeah, look at that field, the tightness that we got in the GTDM. So many sub 1 second, even sub 3 second. Usually we don't see the AM class specifically that close this late.
Yeah, with just about 15 minutes to go. I think we're coming into the last pit stops here for the rest of the field. And it's really anybody's race for the podium right now.
I'm looking at it in my head, and I think that, could be wrong, I think that Patrick Ripley is a little bit short. He's currently on lap 8, and there's 15 minutes to go, which is, like 7 laps. 15 is like the longest we've seen someone go, and so if like with the white flag, I think he may have to do 16. So I think he may be out of luck, unfortunately, with the timing of that incident. I could be wrong, though. We'll see. We'll get closer to time.
He might need to get his tire-saving shoes on, but right now, it's all on track. Battle strategy going on. That's Ryan Glover, James Foreman side by side, and right behind them is Steven Shepard, who's a lap down.
There's just so much advantage you have on the inside there. Again, just like the previous, where on the outside was better, you just get to totally dictate the corner. You can just make that guy drive super deep. And Langenberg now coming out of the pits there.
Unless it's the last lap of the race, I don't know if I would want to send something up that corner. We saw Will Borland and Patrick Ripley have an issue there. I think John Kelly and somebody else had an issue there. So,
but we did see Skip and Langberg,
we did
manage that quite well. So
Although
you gotta trust your racer.
Skip really had the braking in that corner, that instance there. But if you're side by side, dead on, it's scary.
Interested. It certainly depends, what kind of. With me and my my single screen setup, certainly a little bit scarier to battle side by side than if you're using VR and you can just look at the guy over next to you.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier. Although coming from a single screen to VR, I thought if I was side by side, I'd be looking left to see him. I'm not really looking left. I'm looking at the apex and hoping he's not in my way.
That sounds about right. That tracks.
That tracks back to our Red Bull Ring battle there.
Yeah.
But I was not in VR at that time. But the thing is, going to VR, I can look and see my apex, but when it comes to battling, it's not what I thought. I think, oh, all right, he's next to me. Let me look left instead of looking at the apex to my right so I can see if he's there or not. You don't look that
Well, see,
way.
I don't even get to look at my mirrors, though. That's the problem.
Oh, boy. Well, I had mirrors turned on for the longest time in VR, and that cost me about 30 frames per second, and I never used them. So just use the big dynamic one on the top of the screen, and I think you're all right.
I gotta say, looking at the overall standings earlier on in this race, we kind of drawn attention to some GTD AMs that were up there, mixing it with the pros. But as it stands right now, all of the top 10 are pros, and then AMs start to get filtered in there. But it took a little bit for this one, but yet again, the race of pros versus AMs has proven to be a pretty solid defining split, I think.
Yeah, and just to mention, Nick Terrell from 33rd is up in 14th overall. So great job from him.
Yeah, this is probably the closest. This is probably the closest thing he has to his home track, I bet. I'm trying to think of anything else that would be closer to Carolinas.
Um,
I don't remember which Carolina he's in.
Charlotte
Maybe
Roval?
VIR? I don't know. We'll see. I'll ask him later.
Charlotte Roval.
Yeah. I guess you could go with that one.
If that's considered a true road track or not, I'll let the viewers decide. But
Oh, John Kelly.
oh,
Got lucky there without having too much damage, but is he going to lose the spot to Keith Roycroft? I don't
that's
remember the
Tony
gap behind.
Watson passing Ryan Tyler, who's in the pits.
He keeps the spot, but
That's John
he
Kelly.
is no longer going to be on the back of Steven. Well, Steven Shepard was actually a lap car there.
Yep. That's what happened to him. Similar to what Jeff McDonald's done, similar to what Zach Nurnberger's done, similar to what Mark Dillon Jr.'s done.
Yeah,
Tricky
tough
corner.
turn. Even harder when well, it was hard when the sun was out, but now it's hard when it's dark too, because you can't be as confident in the dark. Unless you're absolutely crazy. You have to be a little bit more careful.
Especially at Sebring. That is 100% true. Let me give you guys a cockpit view. The track outlines are just reflectors on the ground. Obviously, there's a little more light in this section of the track because of these overpasses here. But, and I guess it's still a little bit light outside. But as you come to where Mr. Ripley is approaching now, all you have is your headlights and these little reflectors on the ground. And when it's pitch dark out in the sky, it is super hard to see where you're going.
Yeah, it's only 10:23. I mean, it gets or 8:23. Sorry, it gets a lot darker.
So definitely, I think Nürburgring's easier to drive in the dark than Sebring. I'll
That's
be completely
the bold
honest. I would much rather drive Nürburgring in the dark than Sebring, because Nürburgring's all muscle memory. Sebring, I feel like I have to see my certain points.
Looking at the pro field, we don't see anything that's really that close. Closest we got is Paul Boyle and Antoine Decache. And again, what a praise to Antoine Decache for a fourth place. Oh, Paletti spinning there. least he gets it going. Probably no damage.
Similar to Brett McCombs did.
But yeah, I mean, what a race for Antoine DeCache. Started 15th overall, and
Up 6
has
spots.
definitely missed a few races this season. But wow, what a race so far today.
Yeah, he is doing super well, along with James Foreman, who, as we said earlier, is up a million places. He's up 9 in class, and you can tell me how many overall.
18 overall.
So,
the only person who's made up more is Nick Terrell, who started from the pits.
yes, he started dead last, and now he is in.
And he's 7/10 away from the lead. Like, we got, he's hunting for a win here.
Yeah, at least in, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but
Foreman.
he's fast.
Foreman made up 18. Do you think I was talking about Terrell?
Yes, that's it. That is exactly.
All right, I did
what
not
thought.
specify.
Anyways, Foreman does have a great chance for a win, but we have 8 minutes remaining. So it's looking like about 4 laps, and depending on the white flag, let's see where Terry is.
Now, mine is saying 5.3 laps remaining. So
Yeah, so Terry's going to get the white flag and take an extra lap. So where does that put Patrick Ripley?
Ripley is on he's about to start lap 12, or he's just finishing his 12th lap. So, oh yeah, 17. Can't do that.
Yeah, so he'll have to pit.
Poor Pat.
So if he pits, that'll drop him about, what's the time here? About a minute?
Probably to 9th, I guess. He would probably stay ahead of Tyler because it would just be a little splash and dash, but maybe not. He may even go to 10th.
Yeah. I didn't even factor that in. I was thinking full tank pit stop. Yeah. So the co-workers could end up right next to each other on track here. Multimatic employees of Canada.
Very possible. I'm interested here. Looking at Antoine DeCache, he's one, because he's missed a lot of races, he can finish a few spots ahead. Unfortunately, it's just too many drop weeks. He can finish as high as 17th on the overall standings, but I mean, the overall standings I don't think matters to him with that he just showing up to a few of the races. The 4th place is a lot more important than the championship finish.
Yeah, but Daniel Real, who is, where is he now? He's down in 5th. Had a great race. Had a big incident that cost him a lot of time. Not even damage-wise, just track positioning. And he's down in 5th now, but still a very, very solid race from him. I think Foreman, Real, and DeCache are the drivers of the night here.
Yeah, I would agree. We've seen really impressive performances by all those guys. I mean, unfortunately, it's part of it is because there's 6 minutes left, so there's not enough time. But I mean, look at Langenberg there; he is catching up actually to Terry Cowher. He's brought it to sub 6 seconds. We were looking at 13 seconds before. So every time I've looked over it, I'm interested to see your graph there of like per lap, how the gap's been changing. But I mean, he's had some where he's a whole second faster even.
So this is Langenberg and Tyler in terms of overall lap time. And then
Does that other one show more? The one that's like the yellow bars. I like that one.
I just said Langenberg and Tyler. This is Cowger
Same amount.
and Langenberg. And well,
The pit kind of throws off.
The yellow bar is a
little
little
bit.
skewed there. That's about a 5-minute 28 gap to a 6-second gap. I think something has to do with Cowger's blinking. But,
Yeah. Yes.
they're trying their best here. 5 minutes remain now. Counting down the clock here. And well, maybe Paletti can get ahead of Ripley, but it's not really going to matter after Ripley pits in about a lap or 2 here.
Yeah.
Far Paletti, no threat from behind, no real chance of catching ahead. I just sit behind and not waste my time.
I imagine looking at Ripley's pace that he is going like ultra insane fuel save mode. He's putting in like high 2s. Which is obviously not the maximum pace that he's had during this race. His fastest lap's up 158.5. So I think he's trying to see if maybe it's possible if he's just coasting, clutching in down the straights and everything, if he can limp it home without having to go into the pits.
For sure. And I mean, remember, he qualified second, so he definitely does have the pace. It's just the early incident that messed him up.
Paul Boyle's caught up a lot. The last part of this lap, it was 7/10. Now look at that, on his bumper.
So
Antoine
DeCash and Boyle side by side going down the main straight with 4
you want to
minutes
be on the
to
outside
go.
here.
That's the optimal line. Wow, that was a good camera angle. And not gonna hold on for turn 1 though. Oh, maybe not.
Cash giving him space.
DeCash is being
Whoa!
DeCash being really kind to him. Almost took him out because of it.
They almost both were out there.
That was
He got into
close.
that dirt, and what a save by Paul to not lose that, because that thing got like a 45 degrees cocked.
Wow.
He's got some time still. 4 minutes, still got time to make another move, but he's got to settle down a little bit from that one there. Patrick Ripley does wave the white flag and go into the pits.
All right, so not the race white flag, but the surrender white flag for Patrick Ripley, as his early incident caused him to be just out of the pit cycle. So, really, well, I guess we can take a look back here as well, but this is not for a class position. This is, of course, Neri and De La Sala. Currently, all eyes fall on these two.
And by the way, just before I forget, because we're about to probably get some action here, another credit to Tony Watson. He's up in 7th place, has made up another position after Ripley's had to pit.
Yeah, he is doing a wonderful job. Just another quick shout as we go down the area here. Ryan Tyler did come out ahead of Patrick Ripley, or stayed ahead when Patrick pitted. And looks like he's just had a spin, though. I think he's all right.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like Tyler's call for the tires either didn't matter or it was just the wrong call. I don't think that benefited him enough, but I could be wrong. But it doesn't seem like it gave him some magical late race pace that no one else seems to have.
Yeah, and Real also taking the tires was absolutely nullified by his spin there. So we couldn't see that play out in full either. So Keith Roycroft, who was leading for most of this race, he had some issues, and he's down in 4th. So that leaves Ryan Glover, who's up 7 positions in class, James Foreman, who's up 9, and John Kelly, who's up 3, to make up the podium in GTDM.
Been a really good race for GTDM, very competitive. There's been a couple races where I think we've had a competitive top 5 or 6, and then we've had some really big gaps behind that. But I mean, up until late in this race, we've had a couple. I know Richard Curry there. He actually was accidentally dropped out of the session there due to connection. But we've had a lot more close battles. I think it goes to show how much these guys are improving as well. I mean, it's a long season and a lot of practice is put into it. And especially when you get to know the guys around you, you can race them harder.
You sure can. I mean, that's the best thing about racing in a league, is not only the community part of it, but you know the guys you're racing with, you know how they tend to race, and it just gives you more of an authentic experience.
See, Paul Boyle's a little bit far back coming into Sunset
That's
here.
the white flag as well.
Yep, indeed. This is probably Newbie and Real, and then Boyle and DeCash. These are the two last lap battles we're going to be looking at here.
Oh, Boyle flashing his lights saying, Anton,
Craig.
slow down. Oh, that's the Christopher, actually. Uh-oh. That's tight. That gives Paul Boyle the edge, though. Look at the run he's got.
Not quite enough. Not quite enough here.
Oh, he's side by side, though.
Gotta
Not
get in
enough for
line.
turn
Can't do
one.
much here.
Gotta nail the exit into this straight if he wants a chance into the hairpin.
You can look close.
Oh, boy.
There's a lot of chances on this track. There's so many passing zones, and I'm interested to see if he's going to send it here.
He's looking
Josh
for
didn't
it.
have enough of a run.
Doesn't have it, though. He's just going to tuck in once again. Oh boy.
Great race by both these guys. So exciting to watch this on the last lap.
It's all coming down to this. Not for third, not for the podium, but for P4. Best of the rest. 2/10 separate them now.
Oh, a little bit out of sorts for Dakash, but he was just in the way. Kind of had to park it on the apex.
Not quite a passing corner for Paul here. He really just needs to nail the exit into the long straight. That's his best chance now. But Terry Carragher Jr.
Good
has
exit by Dakash
one corner
there.
left before he takes his final win of the season. And for that is the end of the season for Terry Carragher Jr. The checkered flag flies, and he wins the race. Oh, Paul Boyle getting super close. Oh,
He had the lid off. He was so fast. A little bit of, again, parking on the apex by Dakash.
that just ruined his exit down the straight. Does he have the speed to get it back?
He can take a different line. It is possible to take this to the line here.
Oh, heavy on the brakes from Dakash to maybe park it on the exit. He's too close. They touch. Side by side, he's using the gear. Here we go, here we go.
I think Dakash has it. Dakash is going to have it by a nose here.
Oh,
Wow.
by a nose. What a race from those two. No, Paul Boyle takes it.
Wait, Paul Boyle took it? How's that possible?
Possibly a penalty?
On mine, it has Dakash. He was ahead by a 10th.
Oh, mine says Paul Boyle has it. I don't know. Anyways,
That is bizarre.
maybe it's just some sort of extra issue.
It
I
even
don't
says they're 8 seconds apart. Yeah, I don't know.
It says they're 8 seconds apart. I don't
Well,
know.
no, your screen, right? Yeah.
Oh, maybe some sort of penalty that we don't know about. I'm not sure.
Well, that's that 10th between. That's the gap that they were back from Paul's. No, they weren't.
No, that's interval. I don't know. I'll have to sort
I'm
that
pretty
out.
sure that it was. I'm pretty sure that it was Dakash and Boyle. That's what my results are showing on my overlays and on iRacing.
We'll take a look at that in a second, but Ryan Tyler's going to beat Nick Terrell to the flag. And Patrick Ripley far behind Ryan Tyler, all the way down to 10th. He's out of gas, actually. Somebody's going to have to come and push him. He is all the way in the S's before the long straight. So, not what you want to see from him. I did not catch it, but Ryan Glover did take the win for GTD Am.
Yeah,
so a great race from
absolutely.
him.
Fantastic win, maiden win on the season there. Came out of nowhere, so I feel bad for not catching his run up to there. But once he got that first place position, he very confidently held that with Foreman bearing down on him.
Yeah, he did great, and Foreman also a absolutely stellar performance. He is up 19 positions on the day, and it's now gone, but I think he was up 9 in class. Nick Terrell up 22 in class. Or not in class, but overall, he's the only person in his class. Yeah, but he did start from the back, and he's also too good to be in this series currently. But that is the 2022 season, the season 3 of 2022, coming to an end. It's bittersweet to say. But
It was great, and I'm excited to see some of these. There's still some points battles to work out. Safety points getting brought in there, drop weeks. There's some that are going to be pretty close, I think.
yeah, here's our Doge Squad boys taking a parade lap together to celebrate the end of the season. I just have that TikTok audio running through my head. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the 2022 season comes to an end. And then the
I can't
Coldplay
believe that
song.
none of those squad guys got a win this season. They've all had so many consistent races, but somehow a win actually eluded them. So I would be shocked if that happens 2 seasons in a row, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they do. I feel like they make up most of the practice. They do a lot of practice and testing, and they've got a huge data sheet and everything. So
Yeah,
interesting.
we don't have anyone fast here that just shows up. You know, like they're fast for a reason.
Oh
They're-
yeah, for sure. But they do have a lot of fancy gadgets to go along with their practice.
What a great race. Finishing under the night lights too.
Yeah, it looks awesome. They're gonna get a picture there, I'm sure. Although Clayball's in the pits, didn't get the memo. And we've got some people in the waiting room to interview. As we see Nick Play try to do some donuts.
Yeah, let's get the overall finishing first.
Yes, we shall do that. All right.
Woo!
So, in GTD Pro, Terry Calgary Jr. takes the win. That is his, ninth of the season? Something like that. Great season from him. 8th.
10th podium, 8th win.
All right. And then Tyler Langenberg takes 2nd, followed by Paul Skip, Antoine DeCash, Paul Boyle, Nick Paletti, Tony Watson, Ryan Tyler, David Levine, Patrick Ripley, Andrew Neri, Marcus Osborne, Aaron Claybaugh. We got Adrian Garcia Vahil, Will Borland, Brad McCombs, and Sasha Kempter.
And then our GTD AM results, we have maiden winner Ryan Glover, followed by James Foreman and John Kelly, who are 3rd and 2nd respectively for the total championship. Followed by Keith Roycroft, our champion Christopher Newby, and then Jeff McDonald, who wins the bracket challenge as Terry Calgary Jr. did in GTD Pro. 7th, Daniel Real and Michael Della Sala. Christopher Craig, Stephen Shepard, Donovan Johnston, Daniel Barnett, Richard Curry, Zach Nurnberger, Atticus Middleton, and Mark Dillon Jr.
All right. So, that's the last race. It says week 11. We are in week 13. What a season.
All right. You ready for some doing some interviews here?
I am more than ready, my friend.
All right. I'm going to start out with our GTD AM field, bringing in our 3rd place finisher, John Kelly. John, you getting me in the booth here?
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Doing great. It was a fantastic season. Another race here where you elected to start from the pits and made a gigantic charge late. With that race, you didn't need much, but it was certainly enough to secure yourself 2nd place in the championship. Was it obviously, like you said, you started the race on purpose from the pits? Did you think you'd be able to make your way up to a podium yet again?
Well, a little different strategy here because it was so hot in the early part of the race that I didn't really want to push the tires. I mean, they weren't going to be really bad at this track anyway. They should have been fine, but I just figured I'd just kind of drive around for a while, and once it started to cool off, I could go faster, and I was pretty fast there at the end. So, but yeah, it was just, pretty it wasn't uneventful at all, actually. We may have to send something in on one particular car, but the I just drove around. Everybody was, there wasn't really any issues anywhere around. There's plenty of places to pass here, and it's really hard to do a perfect lap. So if you make a mistake in 2 or 3 places here, you're definitely going to get passed if somebody's behind you. So, it was good. I just knew if I kept James in sight that it wasn't, because I think he drops way more than me anyway. So I'd want to drop 20. He's going to drop 36.
Yeah.
So all I had to do was be able to see him, and that the 2nd place thing would take care of itself. So, but it was a fun season. I do thank all you guys for all the hard work, and we'll see what next season brings along. It should change the way they're changing the way the races are run with these cars. It should change the dynamics of what your options are. It's basically not going to cost you much at all to change tires. So, that will bring optional strategies into play. So,
are you looking to stay in the GT3 field for next season?
Yeah, I'll just stay where I am and see if I can finish a race without getting run over by an LMP dive bombing us.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I'll run another season GT3 AM. I mean, it's I'll be 71 when this gets going, so that's it's hard for me to run with the pro guys, but it's fun. It's fun series, and I appreciate all the hard work you guys put in putting it together.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate the kind words. Congratulations on a great season, finishing second, and good luck for your season next year, starting in 2023.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night, John.
Good night.
All right, that was our third place finisher and for the race, and second place championship finisher, John Kelly. Now I'm going to bring in James Foreman. James, get me in the booth.
Hey, how you doing?
We're doing great. It was a fantastic race. You offered plenty of entertainment. We couldn't stop going back to the numbers throughout that entire race, talking about how many overall spots you made up. From your starting position, you made up 19 to finish 9th overall.
Wow.
Did you feel like you qualified out of position, or did just something happen? Were you just finding something in the middle of that race?
I felt like I could have maybe qualified a little better, but I just stayed consistent throughout the whole race, and I think that's what really got me the position I did.
Yeah, it was one where, obviously you were in third place, very close with John Kelly in the overall standings. You needed to have a really good race. You did everything you needed to do for that. Unfortunately, Kelly finishing right behind you. But still, that's third place in the championship. Didn't come with a win, unfortunately. But what
So
a
close.
consistent, a lot of close ones.
Yeah.
What a consistent season. Did you expect to be finishing on that championship podium, a couple months ago?
Oh, no, I didn't have a clue how I would do. I just tried to keep it consistent. I try to get the bonus points every race. Sometimes that's pretty hard to.
Yeah, that's podium number 4 on the season for you. I did wonder, are you planning on staying with the GT3 car next season?
Pardon? Sorry, I missed that.
Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. I think I don't know if it's on you or me, but I was wondering if you were sticking with GT3 for next season with the LMP2 being added.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't think I'm quite ready for LMP2. I've never drove one, so I'll stick with the GT3. See how it goes. Should be interesting, though, racing with all the LMP2s.
Yeah, again, somehow, as we mentioned, that single win eluded you, so you'll still be going into next season with that rookie designation, and actually as the obviously as the highest placed driver in GTDM this season with that designation. So we will absolutely be looking forward to you getting some race wins next season in that GTDM class.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say? Anyone to say hi to? With this awesome season.
It's hi to all my family and friends. Every once in a while, they watch the races. So hey, everyone that's watching, and also I want to thank you guys because you guys did a heck of a job this year or this season with the broadcast. It's like one of my favorite things to get done with the race and hurry and watch the broadcast. And yeah, looking forward to the next one.
I appreciate the kind words. We're looking forward to next season as well in 2023. Congratulations on this season and good luck with next season for you.
All right, thank you. We'll see you next season.
Have a good night, James.
You too.
All right, that was our second place finisher and third place championship finisher for GTD AM, James Foreman. Now we're going to bring in maiden winner Ryan Glover. Ryan, get me in the booth.
What's going on, guys?
Watched a fantastic race. Maiden win for you there. I'll be honest. You kind of snuck up on us midway through that race. We were looking at some names, and then all of a sudden you popped up in the first place. Obviously, a very clean race that you ran. Did you expect? I mean, you as well as a number of others. You gained 11 positions overall in the race from 19th to 8th. So, I mean, did you expect at the start of the race that you'd be fighting for the win there?
So I go in every race the same. I've been told by some of my coworkers that just keep your head down, focus on your race, don't look behind you, don't look at just worry about you. So that's all I did, and I got to realize that 8th, 9th is first or second, so I knew where I was, but I was just focusing on myself, and then I got a little scared when Foreman got up behind me, and I'm like, well, damn it, because now I'm battling again, and but I ended up pulling it off, which I'm super
Yeah,
happy about.
that's what I was going to ask. Is if that advice was able to ring true still when you got a driver at nighttime and he's just a few tenths behind you. Both you guys actually fighting for your maiden win. How'd you keep your cool, especially with some worn tires probably, and trickier conditions to drive in.
Yeah, no, like I said, I keep my head focused on what I need to achieve, and I don't worry about what's behind me anymore. I've learned that from Patrick and Dan, both guys that race E4A as well. So I would like to thank them just for teaching me some of the tricks and strategies to getting around a track. So
It was a fantastic race, one that and I don't know if you ever ran the math, one where you actually had a lot to gain. Came into the championship in 9th place. You were tied with Christopher Craig, and then 9 points behind the trio who are tied at 317 of Dylan Jr.,
Yep.
Roycroft, and McDonald.
yep.
So mathematically, you could finish as high as 5th, and I think there's a lot of mental math to do there, but I think you hop at least like 3 of those guys there, and I think you may finish in 5th or 6th actually.
Hey, to be honest with you, my only goal was to beat Dan. That was our rivalry at work, and I got that done. So I'm very happy. I beat his butt. So.
It was a great race. Again, congratulations. Are you looking to stay with the GT3 for next season with the LMP2 being added in?
Yeah, we'll probably stick with the Porsche. I've gotten super comfortable with it. It's a fun car. I've actually gone very, very comfortable with it. So yeah, we'll stick with it.
Again, congratulations. Fantastic end to the season. Definitely jumped a few spots in the standings. And good luck to you next season with GT3 again.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night, Ryan.
You as well, guys.
All right. For our GTD Pro, our perennially microphone shy Paul Skip, not in the booth or in the waiting room. Haven't got a single. I think he's podium 3 times. Haven't got an interview from him. I will bring in our 2nd place finisher, both in the race and the championship, Tyler Langenberg. Tyler, you're getting me in the booth here.
Hello.
Well, it's a home race for you. Certainly a track that you're strong at. I mean, it was one where you qualified really well. You qualified in 3rd. Were able to make that pass early. What were your tires looking like at the end of the race, considering that you didn't take any?
They were actually pretty good. I think I finished at like 45%, I believe. I can't check now. I don't remember either. So, yeah, race went pretty well. Problem is, only issue that I had was when Ripley dropped the wheel in turn 1, lap 2. Kind of had me to check up, and then we had to battle through it. And once I cleared him, Terry just went off, and yeah, that was the story of my race. I had a battle with Skip, I think, for a bit through that, so it was interesting.
Yeah, that was one of the most exciting things to watch early in that race was that battle between you and Skip. How did you guys were almost completely equally matched for, I mean, it seemed like 20 laps in a row. And then, what did you find I think you had the fastest lap of the race, actually. What did you find to get that extra gear turned on for that last half?
I was fuel saving in the first couple bits, like kind of like Watkins Glen. I was trying that strategy again. Problem is Terry just went off and I lost his draft, so that was a bummer, but fun to drive this track. Great track.
Yeah, I don't think that 2nd place is certainly anything to be upset about. That is podium. Let me get the count here. Podium 8 on the season. I mean, you've been there in every single race. Are you next season going to be in the LMP2, or are you looking to stay in GTD Pro?
I'm gonna check how it handles next season because I know they're gonna BOP it to make it slower, like the real life cars are. So I'm gonna wait and see how that handles. I'd like to do the prototype, but I'm just gonna wait and see how iRacing deals with it next week or week after.
Yeah, and we have a lot of changes to all the GT3s as well, so it's going to turn everything on its head.
Strategy for I can't speak on behalf of the LMP class because I don't remember like how bad the wear is on that car, but tire wear that is. But for the GT3s, that's going to spice up the strategy for the races next season.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking forward to it. Whichever class you pick, we'll definitely be looking forward to you getting some wins next season. And again, congratulations on a second place finish for this season. I mean, it was you and Terry pretty much the whole season as far as the competitors for every race. So congrats on that, and good luck with next season.
10-4, thank you.
Have a good night, Tyler. That was our second place race and championship finisher, Tyler Langenberg. Now for the final interview of the year and of the season, going to bring in our championship winner and race winner, Terry Kiger Jr. at his home track. Terry, get me in the booth.
I got you.
It's another win on the season, win number 8, podium number 10, all at your home race. You got pole. The only thing that eluded you was the fastest lap by just a very small margin. Especially midway through that race, you really started to pull away from the rest of the field. Where do you think that you were finding that extra pace that others weren't able to find in that middle section?
I think it was just for me. The track was starting to come to me a little bit better with the cooler track temps, and I did a lot of practice in, I want to say 108, 113 degree temps. So being able to find the time in the hotter temps, I think made it a little easier as the track temp cooled down to find the speed.
Yeah, it did seem like even though it actually kind of started a little bit warm, tire wear wasn't much of an issue for the race. Just from a third person perspective, was that the experience that you were having as well in the car?
Yeah, tire wear was a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. I thought for sure there was going to be a left front that was going to need to be taken or something, but I want to say at the end of the race, I was still 50%, which is a lot better than I thought expected.
With the, we've got a lot of balance of performance coming up, both with the LMP2 and all of the GT3s. Are you still looking to continue to rep the Porsche, or are you taking a step up to that top prototype class and vying for the LMP2 championship?
I'm going to go for LMP2. I've won 2 back-to-back here, so I feel like it's time for myself to move up since we're bringing the faster car back in and go from there and see what happens.
Yeah, again, this season, congratulations. Won a podiumed every counted race and then some, actually. Even had some podiums dropped, which says quite a lot about how the season went. Going into the race, led 368 laps. There were 50 laps today, so 418 laps led for the season. And you got 0x on this race, one of only 2 drivers to do that. So
Nice.
pretty consummate season. Congratulations. I guess we'll see if it's possible for you to even top that next season, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be hard to top for sure. But before you guys let me go, I should say I want to thank you guys for doing this broadcast this season. It's been really good and a lot of fun to go back and watch afterwards.
Thank you. We appreciate the kind words. We're excited to continue doing it next season, and adding some more improvements to it. So we're excited to watch you on the track in the new format we got next season with some true multi-class stuff. And I'm sure that we'll see you in the booth plenty of more times for some race win interviews.
I can only hope.
Yeah, have a good night, Terry.
All right, you too.
And that was our champion and race winner, Terry Kiger Jr., capping off the interviews for season 3 of 2022. The end of this very specific format before we add in the LMP2s. I couldn't be more excited about next year.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so many new things coming, and the broadcasts are only getting better and improving every time. So I'm really excited, and yeah. Any final words, Zach, until 2023?
Nope. Just if you're watching, these broadcasts and the racing looks fun, I guarantee it is. and you should definitely check out the league. We have a couple off-season races, off-season events. We have a fun Demolition Derby race that's going to be Formula V's and the Pro 2 Lights, sorry. And that'll be at Lanier, and it's just a demolition derby. Just trying to crash as much as you can. There are prizes, iRacing credits for drivers with the most incidents, and then we have a practice race that will be on December 21st, which will be kind of a setup for the next season. I don't think that the details have changed a few times, but again, it will also be class winner will receive $20 in iRacing credit for each class, and we will be looking to have the LMP2 in there. I think the current plan is GT3 and LMP2, but it'll be good to, if you haven't, checked out the league yet, that'll be a fun time to get your feet wet.
Yeah, it for sure is, and we've got the links of everything down in the description, so you can take a look at that. And yeah, I think that's it. So next season, I believe, starts on the 9th of January. A decent amount, the 4th of January, a decent amount of time away from now. But I guess we'll see you in 2023. And with that,